Welcome to another week of The Stream Room. That's right, the podcast about content creation by content creators for content creators. I am... Oh, I gotta go.
Leave it in. Leave it in.
Okay.
Blooper
Leave it
reel.
in. This week, we're talking about something a little bit different. How can you monetize yourself, or rather, the expenditure of what you can monetize? Maybe a smell or a look or maybe even a touch. Who knows? That wafting smell of money coming towards your nostrils, but we'll get into that very soon. I am one of your hosts of the Digital Buskers, Reapz.
Hello, I'm LJ.
And I'm Nicktacular. Hello, everyone. Welcome on in.
Hello, boys. How are you doing? It's been a whole week since we spoke. Last time was Lysol.
We're one person lighter, which is, I don't know how I feel about that. I loved Lysol being on here, and, you know, they brought such a great sense of, you know, opinions that I didn't even know about, because you talk about like really collaborating with big YouTubers and big Twitch partners and everything like that. Insight, I had no idea.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was a nice change of pace.
So, some really good comments as well, and we will be looking at those comments and reading out some of your Q&As later in the episode as well. So if you have any questions, please comment them. Sorry that we didn't get to them last week, obviously special episode. And if you're listening to this, consider liking or subscribing to whatever the feed you are listening to as a small brand new podcast. It helps us out humongously. And I'll say it again, I say it every time. Just leave us on in the background. You don't need to be having your eyes glued to it, but if you let the video play out entirely, then I'll give you a kiss on the cheek.
Ooh. And those are hard
my
to come by.
goodness.
Those are hard. I've asked many times, and Nick and I, we've been luck, really.
We
Only
really
when the
have.
cameras
And he's
are off.
offering free kisses? Damn.
No, not free. I want a sub for it.
okay.
Come on.
Well, okay.
All right, that's a good sellout. I appreciate
Only
that.
to the cheek.
Yeah.
Only to the cheek. But speaking of free things and free kisses, something that used to be free has now been monetized. Have you boys heard about the hot new hit cutie patootie product range?
I like that you said hot and new.
Yes.
I have heard about it, but I think to the people who haven't heard about it, LJ, do you want to just let us in on this great bargain that you yourself can get?
Yeah,
I mean, as the
absolutely.
biggest fan, he should really tell everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
As
I
the
am
tier 3.
subscribed. I am already subscribed to our fantastic. And I'm just going to quote Amouranth to talk about her new product line. I'm just going to go for the quote line here for you.
Okay.
Have you ever wondered what your favorite streamer smells like? Now's your chance to find out. Click here to buy now. Ooh, what is it? I wonder what it is. Let's click here. We've got 2 products. Interesting. One of them is a small, what appears to be empty jar. That's odd. Resting on her buttocks from behind. And it looks like it says here, it's called a scent jar by Amouranth.
Okay.
Have you ever wanted to know what your favorite streamer smells like? Now's your chance with this super exclusive limited edition scent jar made especially by Amouranth for you. Includes 1 scent-filled jar made exclusively to order with a real human hair from Amouranth herself. Each jar is autographed by Amouranth and hand-numbered from 1 to 1,000. Quantity extremely limited.
1,000 apparently. That is,
Wow.
That's 1,000 strands of hair, or maybe it's just one big strand that she chops up into little pieces and just puts in there.
Okay, I'm going to throw it out that this isn't just a scent jar by hair, right? This is like, there's a fart in this jar, right?
Like, there
Yes.
has to be.
If it's
100%.
called cutie patootie and the toot is all in capitals, I'd have to say surely.
It's got to be. And this is just like, maybe she can't say that there's a fart in the jar, but I feel like there's a fart in the jar, guys.
I mean, the imagery says it all. Like, the jar's resting on her butt. Like,
Right?
that's, I feel like that you put 2 and 2 together. Like, it makes
I mean,
sense.
you got that famous Kim Kardashian shot of when she had like the champagne glass on her butt and she's pouring the champagne over it. I feel like this is an insinuation of that. It's like you're not buying champagne, you're buying another bubbly aspect of it, you know? Yeah.
Okay, I found it. And she is being very coy.
Okay.
It says, I've got the how it's made here. It's behind the scenes, like the BBC documentary, how it's made.
Okay, good.
All right. Still not exactly sure what you're getting. No worries. In this video, you can see exactly what goes into making the Amouranth scent jar just for you. Now, I've already watched it, obviously, but I'll reel on a little bit further.
Okay.
Each scent jar comes with 1 real human hair. Okay, we know that. Plus, the scented air of a cloud, also produced by Amouranth. Afterwards, this jar is hand-numbered and signed by Amouranth between 1 to 1,000 before being carefully shipped to your door. Each package has a certificate of authentication and is obviously hand-numbered, as she said, to show her genuine rarity for the jar. Be sure to grab yours today because they're extremely limited. Now, as a married man, I will tell you right now, I don't think there is such thing as a limit to capturing the scent. But everyone's different.
Yeah.
It really, I'm just thinking about it from like a marketing perspective, right? Because one, there are going to be those people you think, oh, they're disgusting. They're getting it just because there's a fart in there. You know, they're like, you know, total simps or whatever you want to call said thing. But it's also the genius of like, wouldn't you want to own it for just the meme's sake? Kind of like when Belle Delphine did her bath water. People just owned it and they were like, I'm going to drink Belle Delphine's bath water for my YouTube video. And, you know, got big old clicks and everything. It just seems like it's very serendipitous, synergistic thing in terms of the whole content creator world, because it is so memey. We know that it's, you know, there not to, well, it is there to shock. But obviously, I think it's for the meme capabilities more than anything.
It's genius. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, and LJ, what is the grand price? What is the price of this very limited and premium product?
I'm glad you asked. And I will get to that in a second because there's a special offer as well. But first, I'm going to read out one more section and then I want Reapz, who hasn't seen the price yet, to try guess. Because I know you've looked at this, Nick. You were on here on the grand opening ready to go.
my brain's like, ooh.
So instead, we're gonna get Reapz to guess.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I have not seen this.
Ethically sourced, made in the USA with pride. And now I'm just going to describe this to you. Now, on the side, we've got Amouranth, and she's kind of faced away from you. She's lifted one leg up as if it's like kind of like you're watching a cartoon or a teenage comedy where a boy is like gone to grab someone's head and fart on it, like as a joke. It's like, but rather than the friend's head being put at the butt, she has the jar. Now, I will say, clearly this is staged. I'm going to throw it out there because the jar does have a lid on it, which I feel like, look, it's okay. It's just for product photos, but you know.
Who's doing the photoshopping?
You know.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to read this out and then you'll be able to guess the price.
Okay.
We at Cutie Patooties, emphasis on the toot, believe the best farts are those naturally occurring. Thus, the team works tirelessly to bottle and collect the clouds whenever the right moment strikes. It is our highest priority to ensure Amouranth is well taken care of and given the highest quality of life in exchange for her efforts. We have ensured she is able to live free range and in the highest quality conditions without little daily life interruptions. I apologize. I'm so in shock by this amazing care that I'm misreading.
Okay.
With our team's only intervention occurring when it is time to capture a cloud.
Wow.
Amazing. Now, there is an FAQ, but just based off that, my good sir Reapz, how much would you be willing to pay for this product?
Me, or how much I think they're marketing it for?
Okay, fine. How much are they marketing it for? And then how much would you be willing to pay for the product?
Okay, no worries. Well, I'm going to go...
Same thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm going
They line up.
I'm thinking of Cloud9, right? That to me is like a genius marketing ploy. I'm on Cloud9 while getting Amouranth's cloud, right? So I'm going to go around the so maybe $900 is what I'd say. To be honest, what I'll pay is like, I think around the $100 is the best way to do it, but 900 is what I'll say.
Well, there's only 1,000, and now apparently stocks are limited, and I wouldn't be surprised if these are already very close to selling out. So of those 1,000, there are $999.99 per jar, which if we're, doing some quick math, 1,000 times 1,000, it comes out to being about $1 million, I believe. Which means that if she sells every jar, which is absolutely possible, I honestly believe that she will sell every single jar.
Yeah.
Then she will make $1 million from this. Obviously with tax cuts and everything else.
But yeah, that's the easiest villain ever. We need to start like a museum of like content creators. We have like, notable things from history.
Yeah. We'll
have like Belle Delphine's like bathwater, and now Amaranth's products will be in there as well.
Oh, definitely. The thing is, how do you one up that? Because with Belle Delphine, it's like there's the bathwater right there, and then Amouranth is, you know what? I'm gonna go extra. I'm gonna go full fetish. I'm gonna go with the clouds, right? Bottle that. I actually know what's next, and I don't want it to ever come to fruition.
Take a cup.
God damn it! You said the thing that I didn't
the cup it. We source the local coffee beans made from my. Like, those cats? The cats in Indonesia that you can go to luau coffee? That's what it is. That's what I'm going to start selling. I'm going to eat coffee beans, wrap them out, and then grind them up and sell bagged coffee that I've digested through. And it's going to be called LJ Luau Coffee. Boom.
Can you just remember us when you're rich, please?
Yes.
That's just way too...
I want to blow up and act like I don't know nobody.
You're gonna be with Drake. You started from the bottom, and now you're here. God damn it!
There's one. Okay, there's one part of what you were reading that stood out to me. She said like they capture it when the moment strikes. Like, does she have just like a dude following her around, like, Charles, I feel some wind coming, and then he just like opens the jar and goes like, oh yes, I'm ready, ma'am, and then she just farts into it, and he.
I think it's way more panicked. I think it's like she'll be like stood somewhere or like doing something, or she'll be in the bath real casually, and she'll realize that she's got a little grumble in the tum and she needs to fart, and it'll just be, oh, I'm gonna fart, I'm gonna lose $1,000.
Lose $1,000 every time she farts. Such a waste. Such a waste. I could have bottled that.
Waste.
Oh, it's like she's like, I'm putting in overtime tonight. I'm having Taco Bell.
Yeah. I'm going to make a full factory with this enchilada I've got with me. That is, but you know what? As we talked about before, Amouranth has so many investments in so many different marketing campaigns, and 7-Elevens and plastic balls for like kids, parks or whatever it is, the kids ball pit and everything like that. It really is this whole portfolio she is putting together that you can't really falter on it. She is making money. It's not like she's doing something stupid and, just resting on her laurels. She is grinding to get this money. And to put yourself out there and obviously have something that is going to be newsworthy for a lot of these content creator and all the people out there, because she's going to get made fun of no matter what. People will not see it like we do. We see this very memey. We understand what she's trying to do, but there's going to be people on there's like, you're a depraved. This is the worst thing that's happened in the world of Twitch. It's going to be very interesting to see how she I guess deals with those comments. That's the other side that I kind of want to explore as well. Is like,
dry her
how do you
tears
deal
with
with
$1
that?
million from selling farts.
That's
honestly.
it. Exactly.
You grab a bunch of bills.
You can't blame her. Yeah.
It's funny though, right? Like, it's funny though, right? Because people are going to act like she's got it so good and all this stuff like that, right? Like, but when you look at it on a much smaller and micro scale, something I've talked to you boys about. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast, but I was involved in a Twitch ANZ ad, right?
Yep.
Where I just said, hey, dude, there's this product, blah, 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 blah. It's Optus Mobiles. And anyone who's watched me knows that I was involved in this ad. And they've shown a lot in the ANZ region, right? And I thought, this is just a fun little ad, right? We all have to deal with Twitch ads. It's fine. It's just, and if anything, having a content creator from ANZ is probably going to be fine. I didn't even think about anything else. I thought it would just be fun because people like to see their content creators earn money without having to ask for it. But no, I did an ad that wasn't even anything risky whatsoever. And I got sent death threats in my Twitter DMs, right? Like for being, oh, I'm tired of seeing your face, right?
Yeah.
And people act like, like Amouranth has it so easy. But if I get death threats and like hundreds and hundreds of hate, or people joining my stream to like tell me that I should go, commit because of this ad, imagine what Amouranth gets on a daily basis and what she's going to get from this backlash. Like, yeah,
That's what I mean.
all PR, but
Yeah.
like she's going to suffer through probably a bunch of assholes. And if you're listening to this and you hate Amouranth for this, then I'm sorry, you're an asshole.
Yep. Yeah.
Is that a
It's
weird
like
thing to say?
don't hate the player, hate the game. Again, we talked about this like last week. It's not like she's putting out a product. You can choose to buy the product or ignore the product, right? Like if you really don't like what she's doing, then blame the people that are actually paying money for it. You know what I mean? Like there is a want out there and people are doing it. So why are you getting angry at this person who's going to supply it? Because if it's not Amouranth, hate to say it's going to be somebody else. Like where does it stop? Where does your hate stop? Do you hate the general idea or do you hate the person? Because I don't think you hate either. I just think you hate the fact that you want to reach those heights. Maybe not fart heights, depending on how you feel.
I do. That's what I want.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. But you want to reach those heights of being so known, right? Like you're relevant, I'll say in quotation marks, that you feel this need, especially in Australia, there's this thing called tall poppy syndrome, where basically if you reach a certain level of fame or notoriety, you will get cut down. You get cut down to size. And it's a pile on. Everyone piles on. You're the most loved person, and then you're the most hated person, like that Dark Knight quote, See yourself the hero, then the villain.
It's for people who are too big for their britches, though, to be fair. Like the Aussie version of tall poppy syndrome kind of comes from the idea of like, if someone gets way too cocky, way too confident, you know what I mean? Like we like to make sure people don't.
Yep.
Or just like, even like I remember being in primary school and I'd won a gold medal and someone else in like a sports tournament. And I was talking about it in class, and someone else in the class had got silver. And while I was talking about how I came first, my teacher goes, "Hey mate, is this show and tell, or is this just you going to brag for 15 minutes?" And I was like, and I was thinking to myself, and that was a big moment for me because I was like, you know what? Honestly, good shout. Like I thought, like
Yeah.
there's another guy in here, and I might be being a massive dickhead to him right now. This is rude.
Yeah.
And that's a dick thing to do. And I think Aussies are very big on the whole like, you know, you get too big for your britches, you're gonna get pulled down, even if you are a 38-year-old male teacher talking to a child in primary school.
It's a life lesson that you remember to this day. So in a way, it's a good thing. Humbleness, to be humble. Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
That's exactly right.
You remember, you're always going to remember those moments, and the teacher knew that. It's like I'm gonna put him in his place right now. I don't care what he is.
That is a good lesson. Yeah.
You know, you mentioned Belle Delphine a bunch with the bathwater, right? And I want to throw it out there. We've glossed over something because the big ticket item is the farts.
Yes.
But we should also mention the fact that alongside Cutie Patootie, Sensed by Amouranth, there's also flavors. The hot tub water. She's specifically pooling and taking jars of her hot tub water from her hot tub streams and selling those as well for $200.
So that's extra revenue on top. So how many bath waters is being sold?
3,000 max that she has.
Okay.
So that's 3,000 times 200. Remember, this is all USD as well. That's about $600,000, I believe.
So 1.6 million overall possible income from this. We're not talking about, revenue and, gross and net and all that kind of things. That is genius for literally what could be a few weeks work, like on top of what she's already doing, which is grinding every day on Twitch and all these other avenues. I mean, really, she's striking while the iron's hot. Like and doing these things, she keeps to get that spotlight on her. She keeps to be in the spotlight, because as soon as you kind of drift off a bit, somebody else comes up or something or does something crazy like this, then you do kind of drift out of favor or out of the eye. And she's doing things that will keep her in the public eye to people who know her. So, I mean, again, we've said it. Hats off.
She's just like Belle who? I'm gonna one up her.
Yeah, totally.
Dude, there are so many people in the comments of this, by the way. Like, there are so many people in the comments of her tweet announcing all of this who are just like delusional. Like, it's like people like making memes about like taking a toaster into a bathtub for her and stuff like that, or like other people just being like, you're gonna get cancelled for this, or just was wild stuff. And then of course Mizkef's top reply being like, what the fuck? But there's also multiple people screenshotting their order summary of them buying the fart jar.
Good for them.
Wow.
Good for them, I say.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. If you were someone who bought the fart jar, would you open it or would you keep it sealed?
For me, I'd keep it sealed. To me, that's the, when you get an action figure from XYZ years ago, and if you keep it perfectly sealed and everything, it's worth more in the long run. Maybe the farts are worth more in the long run to keep it sealed, because then you're just left with a jar with some marketing on it. So yeah, keep that bad boy sealed. Keep it sealed. Yeah.
A jar with some staph infection or something.
Yes, I keep my Amouranth fart jar next to my pop collection. Yeah.
Like in the middle, just around it. They're all kind of shrine like, that'd be great.
God damn it. In other news about influencers and talking about other drama and stuff, I think it was Reapz. It might have been you, Nick. Someone linked in our little event chat about Myth and Pokey doing a talk about younger viewers and Twitch streamers' responsibility. Super interesting. Especially because last week with Lysol, when they were on the podcast, I think it might have been actually after the podcast, we were having a talk just as creators, and they said one of the things is that they're not a babysitter. They're not like, they don't have to daycare for children. And I was like, too true. I am the exact same. Like, I do not want to do that. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
No, you can't hear anything.
You're talking or something else?
I think there are some children screaming. Anyway, sorry, just cut that.
The timing is perfect.
That was the response. Like, I don't want to be a babysitter. No!
They were so angry, yeah. No, but essentially, they were talking about the responsibility that streamers have, because smaller and younger audiences tend to fall in and just kind of follow with what the content creators' opinions are. Especially if they're quite toxic. Like, I'm not going to bring up names, but us three have talked about some large creators recently in private who have had some wild hot takes. When I say hot takes, I mean bad takes, just terrible takes. And you look at their audience demographic and you realize, holy crap, this person actually has a huge young audience of teenage boys, teenage girls, really young people who probably shouldn't even be on Twitch. And they're watching all this and they just fall into the exact same take. And it's like, wow. And I was wondering with you boys, how old do you think your audience is roughly? And what do you think? Do you think that you have a responsibility to them to make sure you educate or to make sure you uphold certain? I feel like you guys know you do, but like I just want your thoughts on it, really.
That's a really good one in terms of it all, because I was reading through this article about, Myth and Pokimane saying that as much as you don't want to be that person who has to look after kids or other people, unfortunately, there are times when it does fall on you to an extent because they are live. There's a live interaction there, and you may be put in a situation where you have to address it. I would say that around the people that watch me, I think they're mainly in their 20s, I would say. Like the average, I think, would be in their 20s. I could be completely wrong. I know that I also skew young and I also skew old, but I think, put all the names together, probably in around 20s, hopefully, is what I feel. In terms of how I deal with it, yeah, there are times where you have to kind of put your foot down and go, we're not talking about this. With all the stuff that's going on in the world, we don't need mentioning right now. You do have to kind of lead it back in the fact that this is not the stream for that. If you would like to talk about those things, maybe go to Hassan's stream or another stream that, obviously is dealing with it directly. At the moment, I'm literally sitting here playing bloody, frickin' Internet Cafe Simulator 2. Like I'm not a wise man. But for me, the way to kind of skew it is to really, again, moderators are so important to how you kind of influence the people that are going to talk in your chat, and in terms of where to steer it that's correct. But as we talked about last time, there's lots of sexual jokes that fly around, and you know when it's fine from time to time, it's a one-off thing and you can all laugh about it. But when it continues to be the thing of like, this person's gay and being gay is a bad thing, it's just like, what are we trying to set here? What's the precedence that's going on? So I do feel
and anyone
that
who uses that word as an insult, by the way, you instantly know, oh, you're not old enough to be on Twitch.
Yeah,
like if someone joins your chat and tries to use gay or any LGBTQIA plus term in a negative way, all three of us usually ban the person.
Yep.
But like, you instantly go, okay, that person's not old enough because they clearly just haven't matured in any way. And then you find out they're a 30-year-old male, and you're like, well, that still makes sense. Like,
yeah, exactly. There's also this thing about like when people enter my chat from time to time, it's this thing of like they have to know your sexual preference. So they ask you, are you gay? Are you straight? Are you seeing anyone? Like this weird kind of mentality. And to me, that's not on because one, I'm not a dating show type thing. And two, again, I'm on Twitch to play some games poorly and you laugh about it with me and we just hang out and talk about community stuff. So you're definitely right. I do think even though you don't want to deal with those things, you have to deal with those things at times because it's questions that are constantly asked. And if you don't address them or at least curb them into another facet, then yeah, it's going to be continuous and you're just going to be like, blow, what is my community right now? So definitely, I think Pokimane and Myth make a really good point, especially for a larger streamer. As much as you don't want to be seen as the babysitter, which we obviously do not want to be, there are times when you have to kind of put your foot down, like your teacher said. It's like, are we going to talk about this or are we going to get on with the class today? So yeah.
Or even just how annoying the really young, I'm going to say it, like I don't really mind saying that. I'm not streaming for young audiences. And I say this often on my stream, and I say it to people. They're like, "Do you play Fortnite?" And I'm like, "No." They bring in an audience I don't want to stream to, and they go, "What audience is that?" And I go, "Children." Like, because and then they leave because they realize that I'm making fun of them. Right? I'm not bullying people or anything like that. But like at the end of the day, as a streamer who's trying to have a conversation, make jokes with a back and forth with other adults or at least 18-year-old pluses. It's so frustrating to be trying to like have an actual conversation, make some jokes without having to have someone type in all caps, sus.
Among Us, yeah. And you're like, oh, shut up.
And I know we've memed on that so much on the podcast, but all of us can agree that is wildly still the thing that is happening.
That's why we keep bringing it up because it keeps happening, and it's just like, please stop. Like, what is the point of this? But Nick,
like
I'm sorry, I was talking over you. Go for it.
It's past, like put it down. But
yeah.
No, I agree with a lot of what Reapz said there as well. And I think you see it with any person, with especially with what the internet is in the current day. Like people, you become a role model whether you like it or not. And some people treat that as an honor and will be mindful of that, and then other people just don't care. You see that with actors, right? In their jobs, right? They're going against the script, right? And where they get their opinions out is social media. And we've all seen the past where some famous, famous people will, have posted on social media with some very, very weird stuff or weird opinions, but, like they're just doing that, like not mindful of who's going to see that, or, sometimes they
Buying a
just genuinely
fart.
believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
Memeing, obviously.
And like, especially with creators where your personality and your opinions are just going to come out in your actual, your, let's quote unquote job, of you making the content. You like, I think, again, you have some creators who will just kind of disregard that. And then you've got others, the other half, which are mindful of that. They're mindful of, wait, what I'm saying might actually, be impressionable on someone, and I've got to treat that with respect. And it's all well and good to share an opinion that you strongly like. Yes, this is what I believe, and I want to share this opinion. But I think when you try to force those opinions on other people, and then you have these impressionable children and teenagers who are on the receiving end of that and going, oh, okay, this person's saying this, so I'm going to believe it too.
Yeah.
And then, you just kind of have this cycle that continues. So I'm thankful that like my audience, we've got a few people that sort of like are in sort of uni college, but majority of the audience is kind of like 20s, 30s. Like that's kind of, and like some in the 40s as well. So like we've definitely got a mature sort of older audience, which is good. But it's a tough thing. Any type of notoriety, you suddenly are like, you are in fact the term influencer. You are influencing people.
Yeah.
Well, it's like what I always also, but throwing it out there, by the way, we're talking about age in terms of maturity because it's an easy way to correlate the two. But also, I do know there are 16-year-olds who have been in my chat who are 99% of the time incredibly normal, and they talk exactly like a mature person as a 16-year-old. And I'm not saying that all teenagers, all children are like this. We're just saying that there's a large majority who sadly give them a bad name and a bad rap. And if you're in my chat and you're worried that I'm talking about you, the fact that you're able to still chat and you haven't been banned means you're probably fine.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
I just want to butt in very quickly because after these podcasts come out, I get some messages from people saying they must have been talking about me. And again, I just want you to know, if I was talking about you, you would not be in the chat right now. So
Exactly right.
Please know that. Yes, moving on. Sorry, LJ, all yours.
You've mentioned the sex joke thing, and this is such a weird one for me, right? Because you know how like it's like people like to say like do as I do, and do as I say, or whatever it is, right? That. But or like you guys are probably the same as me, right? Like sometimes you make a risky joke, right? Like you'll name a side character Jack, and they'll be riding along next to you in Skyrim or something like that, and you'll be like, here, let me help Jack off this horse, and like it's that funny joke,
specific.
right?
Yes, go
it's a funny joke, right? Or someone in Elden Ring will be like, there, we worship the 2 fingers. And you'll be like, well, 3 fingers is too many, to be honest, right? Like those are, and they're a little bit subtle without being subtle. And it's kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And things like that. But there are some people who, and this isn't an age thing, but there are some people who don't understand the subtlety and the sparseness that is required for jokes like that. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that I always find really odd because like, I'll be like, I'll make a joke like that. And then someone will make a joke like that, but it'll be way worse. It'll just be like gratuitous, or it'll bring up their personal genitalia or like their personal like sex experience in the joke. And I feel like that's like a weird line to cross. Like me making a joke about the fingers in Elden Ring, or Uncle Jack off a horse, or any of those things, or like making a weird moaning sound during power washing sim when I'm trying to make a joke about how satisfying it is, right?
Yeah.
Those things are kind of like a bit more subtle, a bit more casual. And they're not referencing my genitalia. They're not referencing me seriously. They're not doing anything, or they're not calling someone out. They're not graphic. But I don't understand. It's like some people just write the wildest stuff in Twitch chat because they feel like it's the same as what I've already done.
Yeah.
And like to set that line and be like, hey, sorry, just throwing it out there. You referencing someone else's or your own genitalia, or making the same joke, or making 6 sex jokes in a row, or really only making sexual comments is not the same. And I'm not suddenly being like, do as I say, not as I do. You're just not following the example. Do you guys get this? I don't understand how I'm supposed to fix this without just cutting sex jokes, but they're funny.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Well, that's part
like
of
I
life,
was saying,
isn't
because
it?
like we'll drop a lot of sex jokes, but it's very like in the moment where it's funny and makes sense. Like we want I mean, look, there's times where like, I've just done some dumb comedy and tried to force a sex joke in there, but for the most part, like yeah, it's like a very time thing. I guess some people just don't get it, or maybe it's like they're kind of like, oh, this person's it's okay to make sex jokes in here, and they just kind of lose themselves a bit, and they're just like, I'm gonna talk about this, and not realizing what they're actually doing.
Yeah, you're dead on. It really is a weird thing because one, you can't really cut it out because obviously with friends and things like that, and even in the world today, even in like some kids programs, there's sexual jokes that only the parents will get and it flies over the kid's head type thing.
There has been for years in that case.
Yeah.
Like just subtle, well-timed ones. Like I remember being a kid and watching something, and the help Uncle Jack off a horse. It came up and I didn't think about it whatsoever.
Yeah.
But my older brother started losing his shit and didn't tell me why, right? And like that's hilarious. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's just the weird consistency that some people make only their entire personality. Just, I'm going to continually make sex jokes. And I don't know how to pull it in line.
I guess they think it's the height of comedy. And it is a hard thing to do because obviously if you're making sex jokes and then somebody follows up with a sex joke that may be going a bit beyond the line, it's kind of like, oh, you don't, but I know that I did, but I'm just saying that one was too far. But it really is kind of like, I guess I have to look at it from the point of that we're the creators, we're the ones on stream, we're the ones who are streaming. And for us, if we do it, then hopefully, knock on wood, it's okay because we've deemed it appropriate to do it. But when it's constantly turns the chat into like a sexual place of just like, here's some really untoward jokes that just make everyone feel uncomfortable and are not funny at all, that's when you got to put your foot down and go, I hope we all know the difference between what I said and what's appropriate in the chat, because at the moment, there doesn't seem to be an accord right now.
Yeah.
So there really is no single way of going, don't do what I do, but do, because you want it to be an open atmosphere that people can feel the need to make jokes. But it really is the fact of like, the ones that step over the lines. And I guess you just have to go hard on those and go, I know that you're doing this because I said this, but maybe let's steer away from it for now. I guess.
think it's tough, right? Because I think sometimes people just don't think about the message. And this is someone who is still in my chat because I think they're a very good egg, and I'm going to use them as an example without giving their name, and know that this didn't bother me at all. It was more just I was trying to curate the vibe, and I think you understood that quite quickly if you're listening. But we were laughing at the fact that I'd stumbled across a YouTube channel, which was entirely videos. All it was just dozens and dozens of videos, and they're each titled the exact same thing with a slight variation, and it was always top 10 sexiest Pokemon girls. Top 10 sexiest Pokemon
YouTube channel.
Nick, do you want to speak up?
But it was like dozens of videos, all just about different Pokemon characters who were female and them in different outfits and what the sexiest ones were. And it was clearly being run by like some kid, right? Whatever. Okay. And it was weird. And we were laughing at how weird it was. I didn't have it up on stream. I just brought it up how I found it, and it was fucking funny. I only found it because it was on Reddit. Someone being like, look at this weirdo. But essentially, we were all laughing at it, and this person, who again, lovely person in chat, just probably wasn't thinking, wrote, aren't all of those girls like 10 years old, right? Which there are a lot of the characters in Pokemon are between 10 and like 16, and there are some adults, but 10 and 16 is the majority of it. And I just said, I kind of just gave it a 1 second delete, right, to remove the message, and just said, hey man, let's probably not bring that up. We're not sexualizing them. We're laughing about how weird this thing is. And they were like, I don't know why my message was deleted. I'm just stating a fact. And I had to be like, well, again, let's think about the line. Laughing about weirdo doing weird videos, bringing up this other really intense thing that can take us down a road that is weird, right? And having to explain like briefly without going into the topic, do you understand why I've had to do that there and why we wouldn't bring that part up, right?
Yeah.
We're denouncing and laughing at weird thing. Or now we're getting into a much more serious topic. And I think that happens a lot as well. Like I made a joke about how someone broke into my house and my pants were falling down when I was like, I'd mentioned at the start, this happened when I was 16. And I mentioned like someone broke into my house and I woke up wearing like old boxers and started chasing them. My pants were falling down, right? And someone wrote in chat, and again, still just a fine chatter, but someone wrote in chat, no wonder he ran away. There was a 16-year-old with his cock out chasing him. And I removed that because I made a joke about how embarrassing it was that my pants were falling down while I was chasing a robber, right? They made it about me being underage and chasing an adult male, right? Like that twisted the joke to be uncomfortable for me.
The narrative is very different.
And I didn't want to have to explain at the time in detail why that was so different, because it makes the entire stream and the fun story completely go off the rails.
Yeah.
Right? But that's like, it's so hard to help chatters understand, hey guys, funny story about me having my pants fall down while being robbed.
Yeah.
Really intense, serious statement that's not overly funny and makes me really uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah, like
You know what I
there
mean?
was no attention to that at all, and then they just because like they thought about it and they're just like they've just suddenly brought attention to it when no one was even talking about that part of it. But yeah, you've just gone ahead had to bring it.
It was like, 'cause
Yeah.
obviously I talked about the fact that my pants were falling down. Yeah, but but like the age thing and the kind of context freaked me out a little bit. And again, these two people are both in my chat still. 99% of the time, everything's fine. But it's just two examples that come to mind of drawing that kind of line where there's a certain joke and then there's another joke, and it's kind of like.
I think we've all had those times though where you've said something and then regretted it because in your head it was like an innocent thing, to an extent. But then when you typed it out and you see them take a different approach to it, it's like, oh, I didn't mean that at all. Because obviously with text, there's no real tone. You imply your own kind of emphasis on certain words or, narrative and things like that. But it definitely is a thing of, I think you have to be a big person to put it out there. Realize that the person's taking it in the wrong way and go, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean like this. Apologies. That to me, if somebody said that, it was like, apologies, I didn't mean like that. I'll be like, easy, thank you, so not a problem. We move on, type of thing. But when it's when you dig your heels in and it's like, oh God, why are they taking my joke the correct way? I meant to say, and then they can keep going and breaking down their joke, and you're like, you need to move on. You're making this whole situation worse. There's an emotional maturity about that.
So the first example that I mentioned, I remember really clearly, this is one of the reasons why I kept saying like, they're still around, they're a good chatter, blah, 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 was because after I said, let's not go that route with it and removed the message, they wrote back, oh shit, yeah, good point, omega lol, my bad. And I remember being like, this is someone who wrote a message, just wasn't was just thinking, yeah, this is weird for this reason. Do you guys feel like this is weird? And then was like, oh yeah, that's not something we're going to talk about here. We are trying to keep it light and talk about the weirdo, not the implications of the intensity of it all, which I thought was really, really big. And I think a lot of chatters like that are really good for that.
Those are the ones that we keep around, right? Those are the ones that we know are good eggs. Yeah.
As someone who a lot of the time will like my brain's going 100 miles an hour constantly, and I'll be like, oh, say something like, crap, why did I say that? I didn't think before I said something. Like I've been there a lot, and and sometimes you don't mean it, and then it's just like, can you not? Oh yeah, sorry, my bad, whoops. Like
step back.
And again, it's one of those things where someone in our chats is going to be like, oh, yeah, I've done that to this person. I need to reach out and apologize. I don't think anyone needs to reach out and apologize. Please don't think anyone's calling anyone out. It's one of those things where I think comes down to like, we're talking about these things because content creators often have to deal with this sort of stuff, right? And again, if it was actually bad, you'd probably not be able to be chatting, right?
Yes.
And at the end of the day, we understand that people make confusing messages or mistakes, and a lot of the time, it's just trying to curate and keep the vibe going. No one's an awful person or anything like that. It's just a conversation that we all have to go through, and might help someone. Might help someone understand what to curate. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm in small streamer chats sometimes, and I'll be like, dude, this is toxic as heck. I don't like, how is this enjoyable for anyone involved in it? Because it'll just be like 3 or 4 people just being weird, and the streamer is clearly uncomfortable, but they don't want to ban them because they don't have the viewership to ban them.
I was gonna say, they're just afraid. And I remember, my first like few months, like, you kind of like, you're getting someone who's kind of a troll, but you're afraid to push that ban button because you're like, but it's a viewer. I don't have many of these. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Exactly. It really is this hard thing, because I also think it is a problem with, bigger streamers as well, because there's certain chats that you go into and it's like the Wild West. Anything goes, people just, type anything, and it's going so fast you don't even notice it anyway. But then there's other streams where they get like thousands of viewers and the chat's going quite slow because it's not the Wild West. Like the moderators have kind of going, this is appropriate, this is not appropriate. And to me, I enjoyed those ones more because it's kind of like a nice atmosphere. It's like you're watching this person play this game, you're enjoying it, it's light entertainment, people actually typing things that are relevant to what's going on rather than just like crazy emotes or whatever's coming off the top of their head. And I think, again, it's up to your preference as a streamer of what you would like it to be, but don't fall into the trap of like just letting anything go for viewership. Because you will get to that point where, let's just say you do become a really successful streamer or content creator, whatever it is, you will then forever be linked to your community, and people on the outside looking in will go, we don't want to do sponsorships, we don't want to work with this person because we don't want to be in this chat where they're talking about like really semi-racist jokes and things like that. So
or stereotypes or edgy things and stuff like that. And I think a lot of streamers are not just banned, but a lot of streamers I think are scared to even just time out or be like, hey man, we don't do that here.
Yeah.
Right? But also because they're like, what if, well, even if I give them a slight warning, what if they get upset and leave? I'm gonna throw it out there. If you give someone a 1 second timeout and say, hey man, don't do that vibe, and they get really upset or they leave entirely, that's probably for the best at the end of the day, because if your content doesn't align with what they want to watch or how the vibe should be for them, that's not a bad thing. Neither of you are bad people for not wanting to be involved in that. There are different communities for different strokes, and there are different things that everyone likes. And at the end of the day, you know, I stand by this. Like, I see a lot of small streamers who are like, easy for you guys to say, you've got 100 viewers. And it's like, no, it's actually way harder for you guys because, yeah, we could just ignore a message, keep the 100 viewers, and let that message just go after 5 minutes because it'll never come back. But you guys, if someone puts a message in your chat, it'll take you 30 minutes for that chat message to move on. And you got to keep staring at that big old pile of stink right in the middle of your chat.
First of all, my username is Reapz, and it's not called pile of stink. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Come on now. I think the takeaway is that, like, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter how big you are as a creator, whether you're just starting out or, you know, you're our size or bigger. Remove the trash. It doesn't matter. Like, it's not, that extra viewer does not matter if they are bringing in edgy, like really bad edgy stuff, or being, you know, toxic or whatever. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Or making you uncomfortable.
Ban the problems.
Like, can we point out, like, just making you uncomfortable or ruining the vibe slightly. It's one of those things I think a lot of people are like, why was I banned? The rules don't say anywhere that I can't do X thing. And it's literally like, I'll be like, you know what? I'll ban you because you brought a bad vibe.
Yep.
Like, and I know it sounds like that's really harsh, LJ, and it's like, not really, because I want to promote a active chat. And if someone is bringing a bad vibe, or we're trying to be excited about a topic and they want to keep yucking the yums, like if you're sitting there on a stream and you're watching the Nintendo Direct and something comes up and you're like, oh, it's my favorite game of all time and it's being emulated on the Switch. Yes, this is so awesome. Yes. And then there's one person in your chat being like, that game's shit. That's shit. You're shit. I hate this game. That's going to be bad. Screw Nintendo. Like, this happened with Elden Ring the other day. Like, I was enjoying it and someone was like, God, you're really bad at this. How have you not beaten this yet? And I just said, I was like, hey man, I'm banning you. But before I ban you, I want you to let you understand, every time someone subs, my controller dies for 10 seconds. So yeah, I've not gotten very far. Yeah. Like, it's like, I'm not here to beat it. I've got 60 subs tonight because my chat has been aggressively making it so I can't progress. Yeah. And then I banned him because it's just like, why are you bringing bad vibes? Right? Like, it doesn't say you can't make fun of me and say I suck, but there's a certain way to do it. I'm a little bit salty there, but mainly because you guys have brought up something and now you've gotten me on a rant that I need to talk about because this is frustrating me so much.
It's LJ as Charlie from Always Sunny on the Wall. Like,
I adore how brilliant Smallant is at his content. I love the thumbnails. I love the content. I think he's a funny guy. I think he's good at games. I think he's really talented, okay? And nothing I'm about to say is a slight against Smallant whatsoever, okay? This is a slight against all large chats that do this. And I'm simply talking about an example that I had to see this morning in Smallant's chat. Okay. One of my favorite games of all time is the original Subnautica. I think the original Subnautica is by far 1,000 times better than Below Zero, because the slow burn story that takes work to find and discover for yourself, and the slow burn ability to like discover items and recipes and slowly craft. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it is incredibly interesting to explore this alien world that you're trapped on and figure out like what certain fish do. What does this scrap here do? What is this? How do I get off the planet? And you're just like tracking down all these little things. And again, I'm not going to spoil anything for it. And I think that Subnautica is a game you should go into completely blind. I honestly believe that. And I went into Smallant's chat because he's playing Subnautica for the first time, okay? And I was like, oh my God, one of my favorite games of all time, a content creator I really respect. I can't wait to see this. I spent about 30 minutes there just getting more and more angry. Not because of Smallant, because his chat would not stop backseating the entire time. You can swap batteries like this. You can do this. Major spoilers in slow mode, just going past without being timed out. Like literally someone wrote the ending of the fucking game and just scrolled up through, like slowly, because it was on slow mode. Oh. And there was so much backseating. And I was like, does he have his chat off? Please, for the love of God, does he have his chat off? And he looks over and responds to someone. I go, oh. And I'm just like, and there's, it's like he's not even asking questions. He's not even saying like, oh, how do I get my battery back? Or how do I do this? Or what's this? Like, you know how streamers will talk out loud and ask questions and chat will respond. Yeah. He's not even doing that because he knows that'll encourage backseating, I'm sure. And it's like, he's still just being like, every single message is some form, while I was there at least, of you should do this, you should do that. Why are you doing this? Do this instead, do that. Have you found this major story point yet? I can't wait for you to see this major story point yet. And like so much stuff. And I'm just sitting there just getting so mad because I love this game so much, right? And I know I shouldn't be mad at it.
It's a beautiful game. It's a beautiful game.
Yeah.
But like, is that not just like one of the most annoying things as a streamer?
Yeah.
Is trying to like, not even a streamer, as a viewer as well. Trying to enjoy a piece of content and having major spoilers posted or major backseating posted, and just at his size, a mod can't do anything about it because like every second message is that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and it's just flying so quickly as well. Like it's just.
But it's slow mode, so it wasn't even that quick.
Oh,
right?
okay,
It's
wow.
So he had slow mode on, so it wasn't that fast, and it meant that like it was just like that's the sound of the chat messages popping in. It wasn't like it was just. Doot, 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 doot.
It's rough. It's rough. I mean, we've all dealt with backseating, and and when I played both Subnauticas, definitely encountered that, because like I would do it constantly, where I will rhetorically like in my like think out loud, like, how do I do this? What does this mean? And then sometimes my mods will have to remind new people in chat, going, no, he's just talking out loud. Like if he wants advice, he will turn to the chat and go, hey guys, someone please tell me where I can find this thing. I need to know. I don't want to spend the next hour.
Safe word,
searching.
pineapple.
Yeah.
Say yes. Pineapple chat, help me.
I've talked about it in the past, but there are these certain games, because, you know, it's very hard to play all the amazing games that people recommend because there's just so many of them, right? And there's only so many hours in the day. But when you go and do a new game like, you know, Super Mario Odyssey and things like that, I'll just do it because I recently played it. There are so many people telling you where secret moons are and, you know, you should do this. You can get it faster by doing this route. And it just becomes the fact of like, it sucks all the fun out of it, because it's literally like going into a movie and me sitting next to you and going, in 5 minutes time, you're going to find out that Kaiser Soze is actually XYZ. You know what I mean? It's this weird thing of like, thank you so much for spoiling what I'm watching right now. I don't even see the point in doing it, because what am I supposed to achieve now that I know exactly what I'm heading towards and there's just no surprise? So it really is a thing of like this game community that you have to kind of, I've seen people when they do go into these big spoiler games, you know, it's big story-based storyline thing, and they put it in emote only mode because they're like, I just don't want to be asked with this, and I can completely understand that. But then it sucks, you know, the energy out of the chat itself because they want to talk to each other. But it really is a thing of like, if you tell somebody, do not backseat, do not do this, and they do it, that to me is an instant timeout, obviously, or a ban, because they are literally ruining the experience, not only for you, but for the people watching who are in this with you for the first time. A lot of people watch me because I play horror games, and a lot of people in the chat don't want to play the horror games themselves because it's not their thing, but they like watching it because it's kind of, you know, community experience. We can all get scared together. It's not you alone in a room at night. And people who've played those horror games before are like, it's coming up to that section. And you're like, mother, please stop. Because now I know there's a scare on the way. I know there's a jump scare. So I'm like, do you expect me to force a reaction out of it? It's just, it's awkward.
The pinnacle of that. Oh, yeah, I can't. You're up to this part. Because, and then someone's like, no, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. It's like, well, you insinuated it.
Undertale was that. So I'm not going to spoil this, but because I don't know if you guys have played it. But there's a part. There's a part early on in Undertale where you kind of learn something that affects a lot of what you do in the game. Okay. But before you learn that, there are a few choices you have to make. Okay, and those choices affect everything about everything, right? And so it really sets up the atmosphere towards how you play the game, what you do, what choices you make, and like everything. It's the entire premise of the game, in fact, is essentially based on those first 45 minutes and how you explore and what you do, right? And sorry, Nick's just receiving his cutie patootie package right now. If you didn't know, he ordered it yesterday. And essentially, right before I get to the part where the big reveal happens, someone drops, "Oh, have you decided to play it like this or like this?" And I'm not going to use the words, but the two words they use to describe it clearly allude to everything you need to know. They spoil everything. Right. I played Undertale for about 2 more hours, but the magic was gone. Yeah. The magic was just gone. I couldn't enjoy it anymore because I felt like I had to play it a certain way because I knew the ending and I knew what was going to happen at that point. And it just ruined it for me. I got to play Undertale for 3 hours and then I had to stop entirely. And a few of the big fans of Undertale in my chat who were being good were saying things like, "Oh, LJ, will you come back to it? It was really fun." I had to be like, guys, I can't play this for another 6-7 hours.
If you know what's going to happen,
the story is just ruined. The character progression is ruined.
And Sorry, LJ, to interrupt, but it is like, I understand when people have a fandom for a game and they're really excited for people to play it, and they're like kind of on edge. It's like they want to see the big reveal, they want to see your reaction to something, so they let it slip in the chat. Like, what do you think people? How's LJ going to react to this bit? And I understand that they're doing it from a place of just excitement, and they really want you to do things. But it really does ruin the overall experience for not only the viewers, but myself. And it just makes me not want to play it. And I've had the exact same experience as you in the past, where I started a game, somebody let slip a big kind of storyline point, and then I was just like, well, what's the point in playing? Because for me, my biggest thing is like, as I told you, I've told you about the time, in Avengers Endgame, it's like a couple walk past me and they spoiled the ending. It's like, well, that's
just the third time on the podcast.
Third time. We're gonna go for 4. It was like that thing of like, what's the point? Like, what, a whole big thing that I know is always like, will it, won't it, is gone. Why continue on? Like, there's just no fun in it anymore. So I completely agree with you. It ruins the whole experience. And then you're like, I was really looking forward to playing that. It's like BioShock. But then you just kind of gave away the ending, which is one of the greatest endings in video game history. There's no point in playing it because it's not known for its first-person shooter aspects. It's like,
and it's always for those games as well, right? Like it's always for those games because people love them so much and they don't even think whatsoever. Like Detroit Become Human was one of my best playthroughs I've ever done on Twitch. Okay?
I love that game.
There is still in Detroit Become Human, there's a moment where you get to like this intersection and there are 4 stores around it and you get just freedom to just go explore and make a bunch of choices as 2 of the characters.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most amazing moments as a streamer for me because I had like 250 or something viewers and like so many of them active. Like my chat looked like an XQC chat, but in like not 12. That's a meme, obviously. I'm not actually saying all this. But essentially, like, it was so active and we were having so much fun. And I felt like a real content creator for the very first time in my entire like life, right? Like, it's like, I've always felt like I'm a content creator, but I felt like I was a real entertainer in that moment because it was so energetic. The content was so powerful, everything. But at the start of Detroit Become Human, very first stream, someone said a major spoiler about one of the characters in the chat. Now, I clocked it as my mods removed it and said, I haven't played the game, but please don't do spoilers, even joke ones, because you will be timed out. Then all my chat spams !blind, which has a 0 cooldowns and a big text, a paragraph that says, please don't, right? So that's their way of clearing the chat. So I don't see even the deleted message. I'd already seen it. I already had seen the spoiler before it got removed, before it got hidden, right? But I pretended I hadn't. And I did my best for the rest of the thing to just make the choices as if I didn't know about this one particular thing for this character. And no one in chat figured out that this was the case with that character. And the content wasn't ruined for that. But the experience was still ruined for me. And it was such a crappy moment. But I still think Detroit was my favorites. It was just such a crappy moment that all of the subtle hints that the game were giving about certain things were no longer subtle. There was no longer a theory craft for me. There was no longer a fun moment of reveal for me. It was just purely, I know this thing now and I have to deal with this thing now. And this person just completely like ruined this entire aspect. And as a streamer, there's no way to deal with that, is that? Which is why this rant started. There's no way for Small Ant to have dealt with what his chat was doing.
No, there really is. And once you see it, it's too late. It's like sometimes you may end up forgetting, depending on the period of time between when you've seen it and when it comes up. But I feel like that kind of thing, when you force yourself to like, I'm not going to remember it, your brain just automatically, just like it's your biggest, worst enemy. So it's like, no, I'm going to remember this.
Yeah. It's like, don't
really
think about
sucks.
an elephant. If I tell you that right now, don't think about an elephant. Don't you dare think about an elephant right now. You're going to think about an elephant because it's just it's in your head, right? There's this, actually about a week back, I think it was a week back, I was playing Minecraft or something, and I think I was doing like a sub thing, something sub related. And one of the users in my chat said, "Oh, can I get a sub?" ? And obviously the moderators timed it out and go, "We don't ask for subs here," right? And then the person says, "Oh, cringe," and then says, "The mods are cringe." And immediately that's a ban, right?
Yeah, well,
immediately ban. Get out of here. Just get the hell out of here. I then receive a message from them on Discord saying something. I blocked them straight after, but something to the thing of like, "Hey, it was just a joke. Don't ever message me again." This is them messaging me. And I'm like, what is happening right now, and obviously that's why I blocked them. I was just like, I can't even be asked to, respond to this. But it's this weird mentality of like, if you can't take a joke, if you can't take a joke about a storyline aspect coming up, which isn't true at all, I don't know if it's a joke or not. Because I have no frame of reference. If I saw the same movie that you did, I'll be like, yeah, I know that's a joke, because it's so crazy. It's like the thing of like, we did no spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home, and then it says, I can't believe Batman was in it. To me, it's like, haha, funny, because Batman DC will never be in a Marvel film at this current point. But to people who haven't seen it, they may be like, Batman's in the film? And like really kind of, they'll think throughout the whole film that Batman's going to be like a holdover. But it ruins it. It really does. And again, if you have this nerve of like, I'm better than that and don't message me, like you're the one controlling it, I am so happy that you were banned. Like it made me feel this rush of endorphins of just like, yes, that was a good band, that film. And that made me feel good.
There's a way to joke about it and like people understand the joke, and then there's other places where it's not. Like the night at the museum gag that I did in your stream yesterday.
Like, was that a movie quote?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things, right, though, like, and this isn't an insult to anyone, but at the end of the day, if you have to defend your joke or explain your joke, you're clearly not talking to the right audience. I'm not saying a joke's not funny, but you're probably not talking to the right audience, or you're not explaining it in a way that makes sense, right? And it's like, I'm not a big fan of blonde jokes, because I think the blonde jokes are kind of regressive, and my wife's not a big fan of boomer, I hate my wife jokes, like what we talked about last podcast with Lysol, because we talked about people getting overly parasocial and involved in relationships and blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm not a big fan of those things, and when people do them in my chat, sometimes if I'm a bit annoyed, and if they're annoying me, right, and I want to like teach them, like, what are you doing? I'll mute my music for a second and go, sorry, hold on, let me just read that, I'm really struggling, and I'll go, what does a blonde and a pancake have in common? Sorry, man, I don't understand I don't understand the punchline either. Can you explain what the joke is?
Yeah.
And then everyone in chat was like, pause, champ.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's he gonna say? And they'll be like, because blonde women have flat personalities. And I'll go,
flat personalities.
I'll go, oh, that's not really funny, and it's kind of mean.
It's derogatory.
Yeah, I'm like, and they'll be like, oh, it's just a joke. And I'll go, oh, well.
Yeah. Is it that?
And it wasn't funny either, And some people will be like, that's you being a bit sensitive there, Eljayem. It's like, you can make those jokes in other chats, right? Yeah. It's just something I don't like. You know what? I don't want a blonde person in my chat who's a lovely person to find out that I'm laughing at them, or that I'm laughing at or insinuating that because they're blonde, because they probably get it every fucking day of their life.
Yeah, it's it's one of those stereotype things that just like honestly, it's not even funny. It's not even funny anymore. Like, sure, like you go back 15 years ago, everyone's throwing around dumb blonde jokes, but now it's just like, no, it's just not good. Like,
we've moved on, I hope, to a higher sense of comedy. But what I did want to bring up very quickly, because I think it follows along these lines, back with the Myth and Pokemon article about how we have this sense of, not entitlement, in terms of we have to be a teacher in a sense.
Responsibility, yeah.
Yeah, responsibility. Sorry, that's the correct word. Pokey mentioned, this is from the article, which I think is very interesting, because I think we see it now with YouTube. She was thinking it would be interesting if there was a kids version of the Twitch website, in terms of, if you know how you sign up to YouTube saying, is this video meant for kids? You've got to adhere to all this. What if streamers had to sign up and they were for, a kid's, streams, you know what I mean? And that to sign up to these things, we can't talk about this, that, and the other, you can't do paid promotion, Do you think that is a viable thing for a live interaction with kids?
Probably not, honestly. Like, I understand what she's saying, and I'm assuming she's not meaning like 13 and under, right? Here's the thing. She's talking like 16 years old and under, 18 years old and under. And that kind of already exists to an extent, that if someone signs up and their account is 15 years of age, they can't click on the, yes, I'm a mature viewer, to watch a mature marked stream. Yeah. So if I mark my stream mature and they're that, they can't click it, right? Mm-hmm. But obviously that lowers the amount of viewers I can get. And it also means that like an 18-year-old or 17-year-old who is mature can't click me. Yeah. But it doesn't work live, right? Because people make slip-ups, and it doesn't work on Twitch because there isn't really a directory to only serve streams for kids to kids. Mm-hmm. And the reality is that they shouldn't be on the platform, and it's actually not Twitch's responsibility. And a lot of people love to pretend it is Twitch's responsibility. It's actually the parents' responsibility to be monitoring what their kids are watching and not watching. And we see the issue that even if you do have kid-friendly content on YouTube, you still end up with Elsagate, which was when there were a bunch of creepos making content with Elsa, Spider-Man, Peppa Pig, and all these characters
Yes,
in really
I remember that.
sexual or disgusting or depraved concepts to do with scat and all sorts of things, and then tricking it into the YouTube Kids algorithm so that kids were just ending up getting served all this weird content because parents would just hand them an iPhone or a tablet and just let them go.
Yep.
So like
People
it's
do
in
that
my
in the
head, it's
first
like
place.
it's exactly right. It's like, but it's the parents' responsibility, and
It is.
Twitch has set up their terms of service, say 13-year-olds shouldn't be on there. They've got mature ratings on there. They've got all those things set up. And at the end of the day, it really is just watch what your kids are doing, right? Like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Yeah, it's you know, I'm sure, like, not to get into a whole thing of parenting, but yeah, I'm sure, like, you know, most parents will see, like, oh, YouTube Kids, like, it's very strict on what videos are available there, and you know that they, I guess a lot of parents will have the kind of that they feel they have that safety net where it's like, I can just let them, you know, watch videos and it should be fine. But then yeah, you get idiots like that try to do nasty shit like that, and it's just a shame. But like the thing with what Pokey said though, it's like, again, I get it, but like, why, like, with a YouTube video, it's just like they can just watch it. Like a 5-year-old can just sit there and watch a video. But
Yeah.
A kid's version of Twitch, like, you know how we'd have 5-year-olds going, like typing in the Twitch chat.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
Dorito, creeper.
Yeah, that's exactly it. To
The
be fair, I'm
account
sure
can
there are
only
kids
put
already
emotes
doing
in the
that. We don't
chat.
realize. But I think maybe what Pokey may be going towards is, what if there was, you know how we've got VODs, after everything you've got your VODs. What if there is a way of you go to Twitch and you can only watch these VODs which have been approved? Obviously, I don't know how they do that, but it is the thing of like, maybe they're trying to compete in the sense with YouTube in terms of like, we also have content where it's kind of live, and it is, you know, people maybe opening, you know, unboxings or whatever it is, basically aimed towards, there's a live stream of it. Here's an unboxing. They don't really read chat at all. They know they've got to be Play School. People who don't have Play School in America or wherever you are, it's basically like a kids program with hosts and, you know, just making a big deal about learning. So if there was a stream like that, which you can watch live at a certain time, maybe that's what Pokey's trying to go for. But how you'd institute that, I do not know, rather than the live interaction aspect of it. But again, who knows?
This is sort of on topic. This is a little off topic, but it's sort of on topic to do with kids and some other stuff to do with growth as well, right? Because I think it's an immature take that I see a lot, and I want to get your thoughts on this, right?
Sure.
So we've all three of us been experimenting with micro format content, aka TikToks, YouTube Shorts, and things like that. And the reason why all three of us have been experimenting with it is because none of us until recently had really taken the plunge into looking at it properly. We've made stuff in the past, hasn't really worked, mainly because, let's be honest, we kind of half-assed it in a way, being like, yeah, short form content, this is what works. But recently, we've really kind of dug deep into looking into how it works. And we've all seen success, right? Like, the last 3 weeks, I've had over 1.6 million views. You know, Nick, you got 80K views to this morning, I believe.
Yeah.
Reapz, you're getting a couple thousand every single one you upload now.
Yeah.
Like, it's starting to get more and more consistent, right? And that's awesome, okay? And when I saw you post your 80K one today, Nick, I was like, fuck yeah, dude, that's awesome. I was like, that is crushing it. It doesn't take much. When you're onto it, it starts pumping, right?
Yeah. Thank
But
you.
what I see all the time, right, is a really immature take. And I think this comes from younger creators, I hope, is they see their friends or other people have success and they start to get angry at the person for that success, or envious that they don't have the success. And I see it all the time in people's chats as well. Like, I'll see a small streamer will start and they'll get to like 30 average viewers. And then there'll be other small streamers who'll say something in their chat like, I've been streaming for 2 years and I've got no viewers, and you've started within a month, you have 30. Like, you know, it's just not fair. Or they'll be like, oh, I'm struggling so much, or stuff like that. And it's so uncomfortable and kind of cruel. And there are other examples as well of like people trying to demean them, like writing things like, wow, why are there 100 people watching this person play Dead by Daylight badly when I'm out getting perfect hooks every day, night, and everything, honey? Like, what are you doing? Right? You know, it's like, well, get out of my chat for starters. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like so immature, and it's like wild. Like, I don't understand why people see others' success and think it's hurting them, or think that they need to hurt the person for it. And I'm seeing it more and more lately. And it's just blowing my mind. And it reminded me of it this morning because I saw Nick and my instinct was, that's fucking sick. But then I remembered that there are people out there who would see that, right? And despite the fact that I'm also having success right now, they would still see that and they'd go, it's fucking, how do you know? I'm jealous. I'm already got 80K, but I want another 80K. Why does he get with that 80K? You know what I mean? Like people honestly think like that based off the comments, not our comments, which we will read in a little bit. But like, it's wild. I don't know your thoughts. I'd love to know.
Yeah, people will get that negative mentality. But I'm the same as you, LJ. When I see like my friends succeed and my fellow creators, I'm just like, hell yeah, you freaking go. Like that's it. It's like it makes me feel good and proud of that person. And then it motivates me. Where it's just like it's kind of like I kind of in my head treat it like a joking like little competitive thing, like, oh man, I got to catch up now. It helps motivate me to like, I've got to put more effort in. I've got to put more work in and go and catch up this person. But I think like to have that negative mindset is just terrible. Like, be happy for other people's success. Let that fuel you and learn from that person as well. No matter how long they've been creating. What did they do to give them that bit of success?
Yeah. And it's also this thing of like, if you get jealousy over it, I can understand. I think especially when you're younger and you see a friend succeed, you're like, oh, you don't know how to deal with those emotions at the time.
Jealousy is natural.
It's a natural thing to have.
It's how you act after is kind of what I hate, right?
It's your mind frame of it. So when you do have those moments and you do see success in another friend or a streamer or something, and you're kind of like, oh man, I feel a bit down because I haven't achieved that level of success. You got to think of two things. One, if they achieved a level of success, one, be happy for them because you yourself can achieve that level of success. And number two, if that person you think is all about themselves and all this kind of thing, then one, you shouldn't really be friends with them if you think that they're that kind of person in general. But they're also there to help you. Like, I know if I achieve success and everything like that, I also like spreading it around my community and going, I'm going to raid this person, I'm going to do this to this person, because I think we all want to grow together. There's not this like minuscule amount of food and we can only take our little bit, It's a never ending, like infinite amount of success that everybody can have. And you're going to experience it at different states of life. The biggest thing that I think a lot of content creators do, new ones on the block, they see other content creators who've achieved success very quickly and go, I've been doing it for longer, or I haven't achieved this level of success in, say, 3 months that this person did. And they think it's all over for me. I'm a has-been or never was type of thing. But for me, it took me 3 years to get partnership. You know what I mean? For somebody else, it took them a month. For somebody else, they didn't even have to stream because they're a part of an esports organization. What is your level of success? Be around people that inspire you. Be around people that are obviously wanting to be inclusive, kind of like what I hope we're doing here. And we're going to bring each other up with us. It's all about a community. You can't thrive by yourself, like in any aspect of life, whether you're working for a business, whether you're a content creator, anything like that. You need to be around people who will motivate you, help you, and who you can help back, because that's how you get that level. You help them, they help you. Scratch your back, scratch mine. It's exactly like that.
That's it. Rising tide raises all boats.
Damn straight.
That's exactly it.
Damn
that
straight.
is exactly it. And I don't know. I just want to bring that up because I figure it's something that I just see way too often lately, and it really frustrates me because. And it reminds me of the sense that, right, like as a person who does content creation for small streamers, right, I talk a lot about small streamers. Everyone knows I do with Stream Scheme. And the whole point of Stream Scheme is I will try something. If I fail, I'll let people know why it failed and teach them. And if it works, I tell them why it works and explain that, right? Like the whole point of Stream Scheme is so I can improve as a person while passing on so people don't make the same mistakes, right? Yeah. But I get so many small streamers who kind of hate me, right? Like they've watched my content, but they kind of also hate me in a way, or they hate my success or my failures, or they will find any chance they can to tear me down. And I'm kind of like, out of everyone out there, I'd understand if there's trolls. I understand that. None of it actually bothers me on an integral level. But the fact that there are people trying to become content creators, they want to be in a position that I'm in right now where I get to do this full time, but they are also openly trying to tear me down is so strange. Because I'm like, do you feel like you'd be able to take that if you had, 100,000 subs and a large majority of trolls coming in, or not majority, but a loud minority of trolls coming in to like tell you, you suck, you fell off, L+ ratio, like all the time. Do you feel like you could take that? Because I'm willing to bet you probably couldn't take that, right? Like, not you guys, but I'm talking about them right there.
But also for me, I'm a small creator. And again, words do hurt at times. There's days where you can kind of, water off a duck's back because you're feeling good about yourself, whatever it is, you're energized. But there are those days where you're just like in a funk and like even the smallest thing can kind of affect you to such a degree. And people don't understand that. They're kind of like, if I throw vinegar out there, then surely things will get better for me. When it's kind of like, where's your mentality on that? Because even if people saw that they agree with you that this creator isn't as good as they say they are, how's that going to benefit you? Like, do you think they're going to subscribe to you and view you, or like, are they an extra sub for your YouTube channel? No, they're just bitter people that obviously are trying to make it, and they see these other people and like, oh, if I tear them down, that will build me up, which has never worked in the history of mankind.
Yeah. And you also have people, whether they do it intentionally or they're just curious to ask this. I had someone on my 5-year streamiversary last year. So in about 2 to 3 weeks will be my 6-year streamiversary. And I had someone, 6 years. I'm an old man on Twitch. I've been around.
Lol boomer.
I'm
You've
old
seen
boomer.
everything.
Get off my lawn.
I've seen Fortnite come and go.
I've seen it. It's true though.
PUBG.
The good old days.
Yeah.
So I had someone like come in on my 5-year streamiversary last year, and they came in and I can't remember if it was the first message or there was like they had said a couple messages and they were like, "Oh wow, you've been streaming 5 years and you're not partnered yet," and like that. Now look, I'm the kind of person like I've got tough skin, right?
Yeah.
In the back of my head, though, it's just like, yes, I know that. I think about it all the time. But at the same time, I was like, I know that I'm just, as we've talked about on the podcast before, I'm focused on making my content and growing. And I know that the tick will come eventually as long as I focus on what I'm doing and actually seeing that growth.
Exactly.
But it didn't take the sting away from this random person coming in and just saying like, I can't you're not partnered yet. Wow. Just like, thanks, random person. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I got really salty the other day. I was doing a Monday morning stream and I didn't have too much planned. I did have stuff planned. I was ranking large YouTubers' thumbnails. It was a fun little tier list I wanted to do. But early on in it, I got hit by a follow bot. No one in chat noticed, but I wasn't having a good morning. The content I felt like wasn't the best that I wanted it to be. And then I had to deal with that. And we went into a Q&A segment afterwards. And I was a little bit salty, and I apologize if people were there. Like one person was like, "Do you feel like American audiences or American streamers have to walk on eggshells?" And I was in a bad headspace, so I was like, "No, fuck no. No one has to walk on eggshells. Just stream and don't be an asshole, and you don't have to walk on eggshells." Like I was very blunt, and they were like, "Oh, I wasn't meaning it. I was just meaning because like Australians are very loud and boisterous, and Americans are very reserved on Twitch." And I was like, "Sorry, I know you're not trying to be an asshole. You know you're not meaning it like that. I'm salty. I apologize, and I apologize to the person that I said it. But I also stand by the sentiment. You don't have to walk on eggshells in this world. You just have to not be an asshole."
Also, Australians are boisterous and Americans aren't.
Apparently, I know. I was like, I'm pretty sure Americans are the loudest people on the planet.
But to our American viewers, please keep listening. We're always joking. Anything that harms you, we're joking. Yeah, question.
Yeah. But then someone else said there was a couple zingers that I was a bit frustrated with and that I threw out back at people. Like, so for example, someone else said, I said, yeah, I've failed a lot. There's no one really to give. I said I can't take my own advice. I said I can't take my own advice to a degree anymore. And someone was like, "Why are you giving advice then if you're not going to take your own advice?" And I said, I'm at 120 viewers, and there is no YouTube channel for me to learn about the mistakes people make between 100 to 1,000, which is why I lost 100 viewers and I'm now back where I am, because I'd grown in a way that was unsustainable. Other than all these people being like, just start a YouTube channel, which by the way is the most bland advice. I appreciate it, yes, but it's not enough. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they were like, and I again, I don't mean to be salty about people, but it's like the assumption that it's like, just take your own advice. And it's like, well, okay, yeah, I could take my own advice if I was at 5 viewers. But then someone else after that conversation had come up said, it is pretty embarrassing to do stream advice after losing 100 viewers. And I said,
I lost my shit.
I did though, Reapz. I said, yeah, well, it's pretty funny, isn't it, that I've lost more viewers than you've ever had on your stream.
Boom! Oh, I got to walk up and walk around the room for that.
Yeah, sorry, that
because
was
I was
mic drop.
I was so annoyed, right? Like I was so annoyed by this sentiment, by this comment, this idea of like Like, and it's not anyone's fault. And honestly, chat wasn't even being that bad. It was just one of those days where I wasn't in the right headspace.
Yeah.
Because I had a couple follow bots hit me. The content hadn't worked out the way I wanted that I was really excited to make.
Yeah.
And I also, it was a morning stream and I'd been up until like 4 a.m. editing a video, dealing with Premiere. It was just a bad mixed cocktail of a bad time.
Yes.
And then a few salty comments and a few bad things made me be a bit edgy. And that's fine. But like, you're right. There are times where there's water off the duck's back. And there are times where you're much like more like, you know, you suck.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let you know, like, you do suck as a human being. Get out of my chat.
Yeah. That's why I got banned. So interesting. Yeah.
But it's just a shame because like you say it a lot that, and I don't mean, I'm not to say that it's like it's annoying, but I'm saying it's sad to me to think about that you constantly get brought up the fact that you lost that viewership, LJ, like all the time. Like I just think people truly do not think about what they're actually saying and how it's affecting those people.
Also, the thing, it's only because that's all they can see as well. They can only see that I've lost 100 viewers. But if they actually looked at my stats, or if they even watched my content recently, they'd know that my YouTube channel is doing like triple daily without uploading, or like the fact that I'm actually earning way more revenue on Twitch. My unique chatters and my chat messages are also up on every single stream. With 100 less viewers, I have more unique chatters and more chat messages, aka the 100 people who are watching me weren't subscribing, they weren't engaging, they weren't overly enjoying the content. They were just there because it was content in the background. And also, it was also making other people less likely to chat. The people who were there who were engaging were making other people less likely to chat. Whereas now, the community is much tighter. There's a lot more activity. They're more welcoming. It's a lot more the right vibe. I enjoy the content more. But it's small content creators who only think about average viewers. And who go, lol, you've fallen off L plus ratio. And I sit there being like, I can't even defend myself about this concept, because the moment you engage in the conversation, you're just allowing the idiocy. And you can ask about these things in respectful ways. Like you could be like, hey LJ, why do you feel like, and this isn't an insult, why do you feel like you lost those viewerships, and what would you have done differently? And I probably would have gone, I lost it because I had grown in an unsustainable way in a rapid time frame, and this fall off in viewership is very natural for a change in content, a change in style, and also because lockdown is over, and a lot of small streamers who found me early on when my channel blew up have moved on entirely from Twitch. They've gone back to watching Shroud and stuff like that, and they're no longer watching a small streamer. And also, it's just one of those things, right? Like, you can ask about those things, but you're right. It gets brought up a lot in the comments and things like that, and it's wild, right? It's also, I'm really, this is going to come across badly, but I'm really not prioritizing my Twitch stream. Like, I'm right now, I'm completely prioritizing diversification. I've got 2 videos going out on the LJ channel. I'm posting TikToks consistently where I've learned how the algorithm works a lot more. Stream scheme scripts are so much more detailed and put so much more care into them now. Like, this Twitch stream I'm doing purely because I enjoy it and because it's like my main audience engagement. But it's not my priority, right? I'm not sat there every single day like, I need to get another 50 viewers right now or else I'm screwed.
You're in the best position where you're sustaining yourself from other means, and you can go live. Like, obviously, again, like, you know, as we talk about, you always want to keep kind of moving in a direction of forward. But you're like, you don't have that stress. Like, you're able to go live and be like, as long as I've got a good and engaging community, and you know what, if you gain one new regular viewer that shows up every stream that week, that's one person that's going to be there for the foreseeable future.
I'm going to shout out a regular who came during Skyrim. His name is Blackie Ice. Really great chatter. I assumed he was going to be an only Skyrim chatter, but he drops in during just chatting. He's hung out during Power Washer Sim. I saw him the other night during Elden Ring. Gonna throw it out there. Fantastic chatter. And another one, Sam039. Just throwing it out there. You're a hilarious chatter. And I've had some. There's also a heap of other chatters, obviously, my regulars and stuff. But these are 2 newer chatters who I'm glad they've stuck around. And I think that's a really good feeling. I don't know about you guys, but when a chatter comes in and they hang out a bit and they enjoy it, and then you see them again a few streams later, or you see them again in a completely different type of stream and they're enjoying themselves, it's like, yes, let's go.
It's exactly that.
Absolutely. I had that recently with a person named Locris, and they came in during last week's Arceus streams when I was kind of doing the post-game stuff, and you know, like, and they were great. They were chatting, we're having like they were actually being you know, bringing like wanting to engage with the chat, and myself and other people in the chat as well. And they were like they were really cool. And then they've still shown up for like non-Pokemon streams, like a couple non-Pokemon streams. And it's just like, it's like, hell yeah. It was just made me feel really, really good. Like I was streaming Yu-Gi-Oh! Like not 2 days ago, but the Sunday before. And Log popped in going, I don't know much about Yu-Gi-Oh, but this seems kind of cool. And they were just kind of hanging out. And it just made me feel really cool. Made me feel really good.
I think that's a really good point. Is there is no better feeling than when you get to grow your community. And it's really interesting because sometimes, I don't know what it is, but usually I do like sub ideas for the month, and I look back on them, and you've got like, here's all the people that sub this amount, and you see the names, right? And then you see the recent one, and it's kind of like some of the people aren't there that you originally had, but there's new people there. And it seems to be this nice thing of like a community growing. And obviously, as we talked about with the pandemic, you know, right now, it's on the decline a bit, and hopefully, knock on wood, it continues that way. But, you know, people are out there doing things. They're going back to live. They've, you know, got a family or whatever it is. They're trying to stream it themselves. So viewership has declined all over Twitch in terms you can see it at the top, you can see it at the bottom. And in a way, that's a really good thing.
February is also one of the lowest months every single year.
Yeah. Exactly right. And then it pops off again, I think, for like spring break in America and things like that. So there's always going to be peaks and troughs as we talked about. But the thing that I would like to put forward, which LJ is doing, which Nick is doing, and which you know, I'm trying to do as well, is the diversification, because these are avenues to create a funnel for your Twitch. If you just do Twitch, as we've talked about in the past, chances are it's going to be very hard for you to build. But if you've got outside sources, that you've got like a project on YouTube or whatever it is, you know, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, that is a great way to obviously make yourself feel better, obviously diversify your portfolio, your platform, speak to other creators, do better things, because who knows, maybe in a year's time, Twitch isn't for you, but YouTube is, or Instagram Reels is, or TikTok is. You know, you can't just put all your eggs in one basket. We've preached about it too much, but I just want to let people know that if you see success in how many viewers you currently have, you're missing the whole point of exactly what content creation is. And for this like positive note, hopefully a positive note, I would just like to say, in other news as well, boys, have you thought about what you're doing on the 16th or 17th of July around Amsterdam, or the 7th to 9th of October in San Diego? Because TwitchCon has been confirmed for those dates. Now, keep in mind, obviously, they did the same thing last year, and then we had the different strain. But TwitchCon is happening, and hopefully, knock on wood, it can obviously continue on, and people will be there. And PAX in Australia, they haven't announced the dates. But how do you feel about that actual interaction in real life? Because the past 2 years, it's all been online and digital in terms of networking, meeting your friends, things like that. How do you feel about it?
You go, Nick, if you want, because I might be too negative.
Here we go.
I'm gonna be honest. I still think. Look, as much. I think. Okay, I'm saying a lot of. I think a lot.
He's hesitating. He thinks it's shit.
I think it's still too early for the TwitchCons.
Yeah,
I think they need to wait one more year. I think it's too early. And when you think of sort of like PAX, you know, which is primarily like Australia, New Zealand thing, TwitchCon's very much a global thing where people all around the world are going to. I think, and you know, we're kind of getting to a better position in Australia, and so is New Zealand. So it's like, as much as I like, obviously for selfish reasons, would love PAX to go ahead so I can, you know, meet all of you, everyone, and all you guys. Yes, but yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking. A lot of people, I think, are still going to be hesitant. And yeah, for TwitchCon, I just think it's way too early. And, you know, it's a bit of a weird time. But
go
on,
on,
also, can we also talk about the fact that, like, and if you are going to TwitchCon, please don't take this as a slight. But I would love it if someone could explain to me the way that you're going to make back the tens of thousands of dollars or the thousands of dollars that you're going to spend to get there and stay there. Because to me, as a content creator, there are a lot of things I want to do while the sun is shining on my stream and while I'm earning revenue.
Yes.
Right. And I've said this before, and I've told everyone in my community before that I might be changing my tune a little bit about how I handle subs and stuff like that. Because to be honest, in 2 years' time, I'm probably really going to be L plus ratio. Right. So to me, This year, I want to be able to have a down payment on a house. This year, I'm going on my honeymoon, right?
Yeah.
This year, like I've officially, now that COVID's up, I'm able to get married properly, right? Like there are all these things that I'm going to be doing. And even if I wasn't doing all those things, if someone said to me, hey, as an Australian, it's going to cost you $4,000 in tickets to get over there, a couple hundred for the tickets to ANZ. It's also going to be all of the accommodation. You need visas, you need all these things. And then while you're there, you could get a brand new strain or a brand new sickness or a brand new disease that keeps you there for another 2 weeks that you also have to pay further for. Change your flights because they're no longer insured because you're signing a liability waiver to say, I know COVID exists, and all these things. And you could be stuck over there, incredibly sick in America where you have no healthcare, where you also have to go further broke. Like, or even just going to Amsterdam is so dangerous in the current climate and current situation. There is, and you take all the current world situations out of the way and you just purely go from a monetary standpoint. I don't see how going to TwitchCon in any way is going to help my stream. Is that weird?
No.
Like, I don't see I'll ever find, like, none of the sponsors there are going to talk to me. They're going to be talking to the big streamers. There's a 100 viewer Andy. I've got a better chance reaching out to them via email than meeting them in person, to be entirely honest.
Yeah.
I'll get better ROI by doing it all online. And if it's purely a holiday for a fun thing to meet people, I totally get why people in Europe are going to go to Amsterdam. I totally get why people in America are going to go to TwitchCon in America. But as Aussies or any other country, there's really, unless I missed something, am I going to end up with 2,000 viewers who are all going to sub so I can pay that back?
Look, I'll say I think it's all about the mindset. It's all about your reason, your personal reasoning for going. I went to TwitchCon in San Jose in 2018, and because I just wanted, it was a holiday. It was a social experience, and I had an amazing time. Got to hang out and meet
a holiday.
With so
totally
many
get it.
It was
totally.
it was a holiday, right? But also I got to meet other people, other streamers as well at that event through other people, and because of that, then there was sort of new people and connections that I made, coming home. It's like, oh, now I'm going to check out these people's streams. And it was kind of the same with PAX as well. Like I met a lot of new people from PAX. But yeah, I think if you're going to TwitchCon with the intent of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna chat up all these sponsors and I'm gonna kind of make these connections. Like, sure, there's always gonna be that business aspect. Like any of us going to PAX, like we're gonna chat with the reps and stuff like that maybe we've already been conversing with, or maybe formally introduce ourselves, right? There's always gonna be that bit of an aspect, but that shouldn't be your sole focus. Like it's a convention. The sole purpose of it is a social event.
Yes.
Like,
I think
be responsible. Like I think that's it. Be responsible.
Be responsible is what I've said.
Save up for it.
The reason why I bring this up is because I've been asked this a lot, and you see a lot of people's streams where they're like funding to go to TwitchCon. At the top, they're kind of donation bars and things like that. And it's like
if you need to fund it, you shouldn't be going. I know this sounds bad, but like if you are struggling with your funds to the point where you have to have all of your viewers donate just so you can go, you're not gonna have some wild, amazing time over there that's going to like be worth it for your viewers' income. I'm okay with being completely wrong here, but like, and this is coming from someone. This isn't a flex. I could tomorrow book my flights and have everything ready to go. I could, but to me, I go that ROI and a good time. I'm sorry, it's just not worth the price as an Australian to do those flights and those trips. PAX, I did buy PAX. I bought PAX in a heartbeat. They got cancelled on me. That's fine. But PAX was like, PAX. I paid $150 for a flight to go down to Melbourne. I paid $400 for 5 days accommodation, more than PAX. I wanted to spend some days having a coffee and hanging out in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And the PAX tickets were like $190 or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I spent like barely even $800, $600, right? And I'm going to go to PAX and just have some beers, have some stuff, and hang out with Twitch ANZ. And then it all got cancelled. And I was like, do I care? No. Every single thing got refunded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
that's the big thing. I think a lot of the reason why I also bring it up as well is because for myself, I have a lot of American viewers, and I know they're like, when are we going to meet you? That type of thing. So I would love to meet the people who watch me and who funded me and, being really supportive. But it is that thing also in the back of my mind. I honestly don't think that, knock on wood to those people who live in North America and things like that and who are going. I don't think it's going to go ahead this year, especially in October. Again, who am I to say that it is? But the past 2 years, there's always been something that's come up. Now, what I'm saying with the reason of bringing those dates up is because Twitch obviously wants to hold it. They feel like it's valuable enough that they can bring it forward and that, you know, sponsors and everything can go there. It may just be like a kind of, you know, olive branch, as it were, and they may think in the back of the mind it's not going to go ahead, but we've got to make sure that we've got the effort. But it is nice to know that Twitch is, you know, coming up with these 2 dates. The interesting thing will be in Amsterdam, because that's one coming up in about 3-4 months, whatever it is. I'm terrible. If it goes ahead, it's going to be very interesting to see, because I think San Diego and America is going to take note of what happened in Amsterdam, and if it's going to like go ahead to San Diego in terms of bad press and things like that. But what I want to say is that all of us here would love to meet all your amazing faces. If you are in Australia or New Zealand, hopefully PAX goes ahead and we can meet up in general, maybe do a live podcast show with call-ins and everything. But speaking of call-ins, shall we move on to the Q&As of what we received on our videos, or is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think that was something. By the way, I think it's funny, right? Because we this entire podcast episodes, we usually do a rough structure, because I think all of us agree that if you want to make the best content you can, you should at least come up with a concept and roughly structure it. You're allowed to be free and willy-nilly, but you should always have a rough structure that in case you can't be willy-nilly at the day. No, not scripting. We don't script our streams. We just have a structure, right?
Yep.
And so we always come up with a rough structure. And today's was, start with industry news. It literally says Amouranth, it says Myth and Pokey, and then it says LJ goes on a fucking rant. And then because I had 2 rants that I wanted to say without spoiling it. And then it says, what did we do this week in streams as normal? And then we were supposed to talk about picking your platforms you want to diversify onto and talking about how to maximize your time. And we got to the hour and 40 minutes mark, and I'd finished my 2nd ever rant, so the first 3 points. And I was like, yeah, well, save that one for next week.
I was gonna say, I was thinking that the entire time, like, wow, we just kind of winged that, and hey, then we could just pop that in the back pocket for next week.
Yeah, definitely. we got info for next week. Yeah,
legit. But if you want to go through some comments, a few that stand out to me before I pull out the Q&A ones.
Okay.
Having Lysol on the show was great, funny, and entertaining with a different perspective and background. Thank you, Benjamin. I appreciate your $20 in the mail. Another one, Ricky commented at the time code, 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 54 seconds. Anyone want to take a guess as what happens at that time code?
I know what it is because I edited it.
Okay, so you know.
I actually didn't click that to look at it, but if from memory, I don't even know from memory, but if I had to guess, it's when the cat knocked over the webcam.
It's entirely the cat. It's Zilly. It is entirely Zilly. Another comment, Uber Amaze, fantastic chatter. We need a weekly Zilly cameo from now on. She's the star of the show. I totally agree. Someone reminding me that I accidentally forgot to hit enter when I with Lysol's description and everything like that in the comments.
I saw that.
And I had to fix it because we lost power that day, if anyone doesn't know. So I was doing all the thumbnails and everything. I had like 2 hours that I had before the podcast was going to go out or something. And I was like, shit, the power's back. I can do this. And so I got it all done, but I had it on my MacBook that I had to hit enter and I just forgot, but we got it pretty quick. So that's all right. But we do have some comments as well. And this is a really interesting one from Gamer J Lee. And I will say we have talked about this on the podcast a decent amount. In our early one, we talked about Ioana and a few other people who do niche versus variety. But they say, hey guys, I have to say the podcast is something I look forward to at the beginning of every week, but I have a crucial question. Okay, I'm ready. Due to Halo Infinite's hard decline and unfinished state, which 100%, if anyone hasn't played Halo Infinite, holy shit, did they release a half-baked game, which that's a whole nother rant that I need to go into at some point.
Could be worse. Could be Battlefield 2042.
it could be Elden Ring. Fucking 30 10 out of 10 reviews or something, and like then 99% of the PC players can't, or sorry, it's like 60% of the PC players can't play the game because of stuttering. Like a 3090 can't even handle the game's optimization for PC. That's a whole rant for me because I was having an amazing stream on Friday playing Elden Ring with my thing where like my controller had to get dropped for 10 seconds every sub. And then I got to the final boss that I was the first boss of the game, the real first boss. And it was so laggy and stuttery. It became like a slideshow in that area. And I couldn't do it whatsoever. I couldn't do it. And like I could do other bosses. There were a few stutters here and there, but that first boss I couldn't. And when the entire concept is, I am going to try and progress. You guys can sub to make me have to stand still essentially for 10 seconds. And you can no longer progress and do the story. Obviously, it ruined the whole concept and I got real salty. Like we went from having like 160 viewers or something like that to like 110 within 20 minutes of me not being able to move forward with the game because it was so broken.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just saying, yes, games are unfinished now, and that's annoying as hell. I totally feel that. And he continues, I've recently decided to move away from Halo content on both Twitch and YouTube. The problem is I'm not sure what steps to take. Should I take to pivot, especially on YouTube? Would love to hear from you guys' thoughts and keep doing an amazing show. Thank you.
Yes, thank
Lee.
you so much. That's really appreciative. I would like to go ahead with this one with the initial thoughts. I went to your channel and I looked at, you've done like 3-4 years worth of YouTube, and this person, this game, he uploads frequently. I mean, he's like 3 to 4 times a month. Like, really, feel free to go on it. Really hard working dude. What I would say, obviously, is I know that you want to pivot away from Halo Infinite, but it seems that your wheelhouse at the moment is first-person shooters. So I would say if you are going to pivot away from Halo Infinite, I would keep it in that world of FPS. I'd keep it with your views and opinions, because it seems like you've got a real passion for it and a real kind of drive, obviously, on your videos and streams and everything like that. So I would say go down that path, and like, what's the big games at the moment? I know that there's a lot of Warzone out there. I understand that, but there's news of upcoming games, and I would love to see your takes on it. If you go like a complete 180 and you want to do variety, for sure, go for it. Just know that you're obviously going to have a drop off. You're going to have people who obviously signed up to your channel because it is mainly Halo FPS type things. So maybe Apex Legends is the way to go, something like that, because people really put those hand in hand with Halo. But again, the work that you're putting in, it will pay off if you keep going. I honestly, I'm a huge believer in that. You are putting in the work. So seriously, don't feel down about a game, because as LJ just talked about, sometimes the game makes you drop viewers or views in general because there isn't that want for it anymore, or, you know, there's problems with it. And that's that, you can't put that on yourself. So the fact that you're taking ownership of the fact that it is declining and it's not the best for your channel right now is the first step to take. And obviously just go down that FPS route would be my initial advice.
I think 100%. And I'm going to add to this.
Sure.
This is how I tell every single person who's focused on something and seen a semi amount of success, right? No matter whether it's big success or small success. This is everything I do. And this is the reason why Stream Scheme and why YouTube is so much easier to grow than anywhere else, right? And the reason why Stream Scheme has gotten to where it has so quickly is that you are given direct feedback on what works and what doesn't work every single time you upload a video, and you can see exactly what kicked off, right? And so if I scroll back through your channel a little bit, we can see that obviously you got some really big clicks on certain videos. For example, Halo Infinite developers speak out. That's a 42-minute video that got 4,700 views, right? Okay. The reason that works is because that is super interesting. I want to know why the Halo Infinite devs spoke out, right? So you're clearly understanding that people want to click certain things and want to click certain ways, right? And you can see again, the next video is release date is here. That one didn't do too well because I think that's not really that same kind of like, oh, what is that? Like, I don't need a video to search the release date. But right after it, it's Halo MCC Season 8 Flight News, Major Season 8 Update, which again, people are like, oh, I need the update. I want that. I want the patch notes, 1,000 views. You know what I mean? Or the, what is this armor? You know, these things you can see they work. And I think some of them that have worked really well, that's where you need to learn, right? It's kind of like the idea of distillation. You look at everything you release and you figure out exactly what worked and why they clicked it. And then you apply that to the new content that you're going to produce. Say you go into Destiny 2, okay? Destiny 2 has just released the Witch Queen update. You want to look up as much info as you can about the Destiny 2 Witch Queen stuff. You want to get involved in the community, right? And you want to look at the subreddits. What are they talking about? What do they care about? What's a god roll? Should we care about god rolls? You know, you release a video that says, the problem with Destiny 2's player base, right? And in the big thumbnail, it has one gun, like maybe it's the Velpicula, which is a gun from D2, and it has certain stats next to it. And then it says in big letters, this player is toxic, right? Like something really interesting, but really stands out, right? Maybe the Galahorn, which is really well-known rocket launcher. And then that video should entirely be about something that just hooks them in and really keeps them watching. Like, every single person on Destiny 2 who I speak to has this toxic trait. No, you do not need the perfect gun to be good at this game, right? Like, and then you just lay out the content that is interesting to people about topics. So, and I think you can see when you look at your channel that you've had success, but it's hard to then take that success and figure out why it's happened. So I think for yours, man, take a lot of time. I'm talking to gamer, obviously, but take a lot of time looking at what succeeded and then funnel it down into the next thing. Cat is triggered Halo Infinite players 3,000 views 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and like within a month of that, Halo Infinite already dead, 45% player drop, 1.8k views.
Yeah.
You can see with these titles why that works better than unlimited D20 grenades. What could go? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
You know, this is so messed up yet so funny. Cursed Halo mod. You can see why they don't work compared to the other things that are so aggressively clickable.
Yeah.
And if you look at a channel like Sunny V2, which is a channel that I actually agree with people like Ludwig, who I'm really not a fan of. Very good content, but very toxic content as well. It's all about L+ ratio. You fell off.
Yeah.
He makes amazing thumbnails for video essays about like creators. So my big thing will be find a niche that isn't specific to one game. Use all of the experience you've learned so far about what gets clicks, and then distill it down into that new, wider, but still niche, as Reap said, with first-person shooters or whatever your passion is, and go from there. Because I think otherwise you'll probably continue to struggle a little bit if you keep switching between games rather than going to a wider niche like FPS, like Reap said, and then distill. Because I agree, hard work will always pay off. But I want to add the caveat that hard work will always pay off and releasing content will always pay off, as long as every single time you release a piece of content, you pick one thing from it to improve.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. Don't tread water. You're right.
So I think you're working amazingly hard, and I hope that looking at a few of those things that performed, like you can go to your analytics, dude, and you can pull up your analytics and say, boom, I want to see out of the last 12 months, my top, you can review your analytics by 24-hour period release. I don't know if you guys know this. And it will show you on a graph every single release you've done in the past like 12 months. And it will show you where each one is plotted in terms of its first 24 hours of its done. You can see the top the 5 bottom ones, the 5 mid ones, and then the 5 best ones. You want to look at those 5 best ones and go, why did these 5 work? What do they have in common?
Yeah.
And then you want to look at the 5 bottom and go, what do these have in common? Why didn't it work?
Yeah.
That's my little rant about YouTube. But it's really important to distill those top 5 and figure out exactly why.
No, like, everything you say, like, it rings true. Because, like, I look at, like, the stuff like, there's one called, this is still an issue in Halo MCC. Like, it poses a question. It's like, oh, what's the issue? And it's a very clickable thumbnail. He's got, like, big writing, still a major, and an issue in red. Like, it's very eye-catching. And that's got 1.4k views. Like, that grabs the attention. It's something that poses a question, a little bit vague, and people want to creates intrigue. And so they click on it. Like anyone who's interested in Halo wants to go, what's the like, obviously, you know, anyone who's played MCC knows there's been a bunch of issues, but they want to know, wait, what's still an issue? What hasn't changed? So it causes them to click on that.
And I think there's there's too many people doing epic fails. Like we all agree on this, right? There are too many people doing epic fails, map reviews, blah, 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 because all of that, and this isn't an offense to anyone, it's easy content to do those sorts of things.
Yep.
You can just run around a map and show it off pretty easily. You can have a bunch of fails put into a montage really easily. But what is really hard to do is taking a piece of information or a series of information and distilling it down into entertainment while providing value of information, value of entertainment, and then making it packaged as a nice clickable video. And I think some of your videos have struck on really good packaging for infotainment value, right?
Yes.
And I think that's a big one.
Yeah. So hopefully, I know there's a lot of information we threw at this gentleman, but thank you so much again for the question, and hopefully, you know, that can give you a launching point for everything going on.
Can I do the PewDiePie thing? Next question.
Meme review. Next meme.
All right, next question. Throw it at us.
I think I got a question for you guys. Says unknowing G sign. Apart from collabs, do you ever hang out on other people's chats? Often I feel like I'm working in quotes when I'm doing that, so I can never just hang out in air quotes and keep myself on lurk most of the time. It's like I love streaming but not to participate on Twitch in air quotes. This seems weird to me. Is it though? Can I start? I know I just ranted a bit, but can I start on this one?
Go for it.
This is so common and I don't understand it. So, and knowing, please don't take this as an insult to you. Just listen to the whole thing and you'll understand what I'm saying. The amount of streamers who start streaming but don't enjoy Twitch is immense. And I don't understand it fully because I love streaming and I didn't start streaming because of anything other than I wanted to do it and I loved it, right? And is super common. But the problem is that if you don't spend time on Twitch and enjoy your time on Twitch, you're going to probably really struggle to understand Twitch culture, to understand Twitch growth, to understand what chatters enjoy and what they don't enjoy. It's kind of like just never looking into the TikTok algorithm. When I first started TikTok, all I did was make really high quality, short form, vertical video, but I didn't look into the algo whatsoever because I didn't like TikTok. I didn't scroll through TikTok on a daily to look at what people enjoyed. You know what I mean? And so none of my content worked. And so it's totally normal for you not to like something. You're not in the wrong for not enjoying something or feeling like you're working or not wanting to hang out in people's chats or whatever it is like that. But I really recommend you either need to try and find somewhere you like and figure out why you like it, because you are going to struggle to understand why people like your content otherwise. And if you spend more time on YouTube and if you spend way more time watching YouTube videos, honestly, it might be better considering becoming a YouTuber if content creation is something you want to do. And that's not a bad thing. Like for me, there are times where I'm like, I'd much rather be a YouTuber, and I write 4 scripts and make 4 videos. Yeah. And there are times where I'm like, I love being a streamer and I just focus on streaming and I forget to make videos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, but that's dead on. It's like, we've got all these caveats. We've got all these different like platforms we do. And there's days where I'm like, I don't want to stream, but I really could do a video. I want to edit today, you know, but you can't do it.
I wish I could just split myself up into like 4 different people and just
have an orgy.
Yeah.
I mean, just me? Is that just me?
But you guys get what he's saying, right?
Yeah,
though,
totally.
in the sense that, like,
Yeah.
He doesn't enjoy it necessarily. And I think that's totally fine. But it is something that a lot of people do. And I don't think you should stop. I don't think you're a bad person, or I don't think it's a bad thing to not enjoy it. But I think that you should try and find some content that you do enjoy watching. Because if you enjoy watching and you enjoy hanging out with someone's stream, you'll probably grow better. Yeah. I know that I'm going to throw out a few names here, but when I hang out in Architect, or Trey is his name, when I hang out in his streams, I'll always go live that night and I'll feel amazing because I'll be like, dude, I'm so inspired by watching this. I want to make people feel the way I felt hanging out in Architect stream, you know? Or like I'll watch Sandwich, who is an amazing content creator, and I'll be like, she crushed that 5-hour stream. I need to up my game. I loved being there. I loved watching that. And I see why it works. And it makes me want to make content that I can enjoy as well, because I love Twitch and I love interaction. And I think if you don't have any streamers who you actually enjoy or want to be a part of, you're going to kind of struggle, because Twitch culture is kind of an intensely ingrained thing for streamers.
That's why I always said before, even if you don't like big streamers per se, it's always good to follow them, because they kind of start the trends. They start what people filter down to. And I understand that you don't want to think of it as a job, but there has to be a time where you've got to think to yourself, well, do I really want to do this? Like LJ said, because as much as there's this fantasy of I just go live and I play a game and people will follow and I'll grow from just, you know, that kind of thing, because I'm just such a likable person. Again, you can learn that there's however billions of people on this earth. What makes them unique? How do they grow? You've got to kind of go, okay, I got to compete against that, or at least learn from it and go further. So I think the question you're asking is, should I be in other people's chats chatting? If you don't like the stream, then probably not, because you don't want to be part of that community, or you obviously just aren't from the same kind of community. But, you know, you see lots of Dead by Daylight players in other people's, you know, Dead by Daylight streams, because they're a community and they like supporting it. They like what they're showing. They like what they can learn. And as you said, LJ gets inspired by different streamers. And that's what you should be looking for. It's like, who do I want to be like? Who can I learn from? And how can I be in a position to grow from it? But as you said, you can obviously get different avenues. There's YouTube, there's TikTok. A lot of people go into this going, it's going to be easy. And it's not. It really isn't. If you want to make this an actual career, you got to put in more work. I think we all can agree, we don't get a single day off. I put aside Friday and Saturday as my days to do errands and things around the house. But in the back of my head, it's like I spend a few hours at night or during the day doing things that I have to prepare for the upcoming week. It'll just make it easier for me. Otherwise, I got 12, 13-hour days of editing, streaming, blah, 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 blah. It's crap. But honestly, do what you think is best for you and reevaluate what you want from streaming. Do you want to be successful? Do you want to, you know, get a bigger viewership? Write down what you want and how do you achieve that? Because obviously anyone can put in the minimum amount of work. You know, that's just simple. You can go live. But how are you going to progress? What makes you different and how are you going to do that? Just reevaluate is what I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Like Saturday night for me, a lot of the time is like where I'm like, I force myself to be like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just
Yes.
gonna, unless something's urgent that needs to be done, I'll just like, nope, I'm sitting back. I'm going to play Yu-Gi-Oh for 3 hours.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep.
But yeah, so I try to like, I think, yeah, it's important. You got to set that time. But like, yeah, like you said, we will, content creation is a constant thing, but you still need to try and have those pockets of time where you get that time to yourself. You know, you might like, oh, this Saturday night I'm gonna go have dinner with my friends or something, or something like that. And you're absolutely right. You've got to surround yourself with people that you like, that you enjoy, and that you enjoy their content, because that will help influence and help you figure out what you want to create. What kind of stream do you want to create? What kind of vibe do you want to create? And then you'll find yourself that the whole mentality will shift, where instead you'll be like, yeah, actually, I love being on Twitch. I love going to like these different streamers who are like my vibe, my type of humor, that kind of thing. So I think maybe just you just need to, I guess, maybe explore some other streams in kind of the types of games that you like to play, and just see who you can find, see who
just
you
in general,
engage with
not
most.
even the games.
Or just
Just in general, because you'd be so surprised. I don't play Animal Crossing. I watch like 6 Animal Crossing streamers because they're just a really good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a crazy thing.
I don't know. I think I lagged there a little bit for you boys, but I said the words that went on my end.
Yeah, you did. You kind of froze. You're like,
and essentially, yeah, I think that often you just need to find the chatters and the streamers that you enjoy watching, because I know that my content gets worse the less time I spend on Twitch. I know that sounds weird, but there's a certain amount of time I need to spend on Twitch and need to spend watching content for my content to be good.
Yep.
That's just the thing. I'm not copying people. It's just I understand the vibe of what I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
Okay, let's last question. It is actually a massive message, and I have read all of it at Pansia, and I really appreciate it. It's very, very interesting. And I appreciate the lovely message, but I'm just going to focus on the question part and read that out, even though it's I think it's 4 paragraphs. So we'll just do the main question.
Oh, this was from the from a couple weeks.
This is 7 days ago. Yeah, we were going to do it last episode, but where we did the guest one.
Yes.
Awesome episode. Thank you so much. I have a question. Lately, I've been experiencing this strange trend from viewers that when I miss their messages, they call me out on it. Not sure if it's happening on English streams, but it's kind of annoying. I'll let you know right now, it happens on every single stream, no matter the language. Some people even say, how can you miss a message when you've only got 7 people watching? I always say that when I play a game, there can be times when I'm not able to read every single message. There is even a word, opulated, made up, for which isn't a real word, but means spited on. I guess my question is, how do you handle this, and does this happen to you? Sorry, not sorry for the lengthy comment. Can't wait for another episode. Don't apologize for the lengthy comment. It was an amazing comment. I read all of it. And yes, it does. It happens to every single Twitch streamer, I feel. Yeah?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I get called out all the time.
Absolutely. Whether it's serious or you do this, again, not to call out people from my chat that have done it. I still love you guys. It's fine. But like,
Parasocial. He said
Parasocial.
love.
I said love. Wee woo. But no, I'll get, they'll kind of jokingly be like, oh, Nick ignored me, sad face, like, because they're trying, like, being a bit sarcastic. But oh yeah, I think everyone will get it, whether it's like legitimately, like, I've had people be like, oh wow, you're ignoring me. I'm just like, no, I'm not. I just missed it. I'm just, I'm engaging in other conversations. There's stuff happening in the game right now that I'm trying to be funny with. Like, I'm not, we all do our best. We all truly do our best.
Do you ever get the ones where it's like, I said, hey, that's the thing. Why didn't you say hey to me? I said, hey. And it's like, I missed it. It's not like what kind of stream would I be if I ignored you and was like, I'm not gonna say hey back. They don't understand it. And the big one was,
say hey to subs.
Exactly. Hey, do you understand this? The big one for me also is like, I highlighted my messages and you didn't read it. And it's a thing of like, sometimes I'm not sure what you use to read your chat, if it's like in your OBS or if you use Chatterino or whatever it is. But I usually just do a pop out of the chat, right? And I put it on the side there. And sometimes I use like the dark theme, and sometimes people's names are the same color. So when I read it, I'm like, oh, I've read that message because, read in the back of my mind, it's like I read it. But obviously there were 3 people in a row and I missed it. And sometimes I see the at the beginning to another community member. So it's for them. But then sometimes you just get confused. And the big thing for me is when people do the thing of like, oh, you didn't read out my message, go like, I'm so sorry. Can you post it again? And usually they don't, because obviously the moment's gone. But the only thing that you can do in a situation like that is for them to understand, I'm just multitasking a lot. It's not that I don't dislike you or anything like that, but I know that I make a joke of it. Like sometimes I think back in the day, I had a thing of like, there was a counter of how many messages I missed. And then at the end, I'd have to do X amount of things for the messages I missed, like push-ups or something like that. Yeah. Something silly, you know what I mean? But as long as your community knows that you are there, obviously, to talk to them, and it's not like this cruel thing, just really hammer that home with the moderators as well. You can even set up a command, a custom command that goes every 30 minutes. Sorry if I missed your message. I'm busy doing this. You know, it's just something that they understand that it's like, it's not you. You're not trying to be a mean person. That's just how streaming is. It's multitasking. And sometimes it's hard to get everything 100%.
Yeah. I have, oh, sorry. Would you?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like I've had situations where people like obnoxiously will be reposting their message because they're trying to get my attention. And then mods have been like, hey, can you stop? Like, you know, if he'll if you try and go back and get it, or just stop flooding the chat with the same message. And then I've got my other
Dorito, creeper.
White people happy. And then I've got my other wonderful regulars who, you know, they'll post a message and I've missed it, and then they'll be like, hey, just gonna post it one more time, you know, just because, you know, you missed it, and they'll post it once more, and then like that's it. Like they don't, because they know that, you know, I've missed it accidentally, and so they still want me to try and see the message. And if I missed it again, like it's happened a couple of times where I've missed it again, it's like, hey, posted a message, but it was got up there, and then that'll be the one that I see, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, and I'll quickly scroll up, see what it was, and go back because I can quickly tab over. But yeah, like I think there's some people are really good about it, and others aren't. I've had the experience where someone came in and they said like a hello message, and then there was like a conversation happening, and then a few messages went by, and then they posted a message kind of something relating to that conversation, and that was the message that I saw, and I was like, I read it, and I was like, oh, hey, so and so. It's like, and then they commented like, oh wow, you didn't see my hello message, but you saw that. I was like, well, hey, I'm sorry. Like I just happened that one to be the C. I'm sorry for missing the first message. Like it happens sometimes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've got 3 quick examples, and they're very, very quick examples of things that happen, and it's just like, it's strange, right? Because I used to be very, very careful to make sure I read every message. During the decline, when I had a lot of viewers heading off into other areas, I was getting anxious that I needed to be more interactive. And so near the end of the year, I was reading like so many messages. I was trying to get sure I've never missed anything, blah, blah, blah. And we had a bit of a meme going that LJ never misses a message. But it was actually quite toxic because it meant a lot of viewers were just there to have a conversation, and they weren't necessarily always there for the entertainment value. But I took my break over Christmas, and I came back, and I was going into streaming from a different perspective, that I wanted to be making as much entertaining content by myself as a personality, including telling stories and stuff. And I did this because I was watching Ludwig do a TikTok react stream where he reacts to unusual TikToks. And I realized that while he was doing it, he would watch the things, he would pause, take a TikTok, and then use it to tell an entertaining or engaging story. And while he was doing that, he would not respond at all to chat. And that was my favorite parts of watching his stream, were these stories and these engagement things. And I kept finding that I think I wanted chat, or I wanted my content that I was doing to instead just be, here's one piece of content that happens, and then I use that to springboard into a whole conversation or funny story or an engaging piece of content. It's not just a constant pantomime back and forth, right? Yeah. And I think my content has been better coming back. But those first weeks of streams coming back on the new year, when I come back in on this idea, it was awful. That's the only word I can use to describe it. People being like, have I been shadow banned? Why is he not reading out all my messages? You know, like, are we just not going to be greeting each other now? Like, and it's like, I'm like sat there like, man, I'm telling a story right now. Like, people are all posting Omega lols, and like, I'm trying to make content. I'm trying to have in a good mood, and I feel like I'm actually making content for the first time in like 6 months. Yeah. And like, I had all these people like saying shit like, am I just being ignored now? Mm-hmm. Or do we not talk to each other? Or LJ, you've missed my message. LJ, you've missed my message. LJ, you missed my, like, and I'm just like, man, I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Right. So I just started being like, stop being weird. I just was like, I was like, man, I'm telling a story right now. And like, I had this one guy come in and drop his very first ever message, and I normally never miss a first time chatter, but he dropped it during the build up. I had like some epic music playing as I was explaining a story, and I was about to smack a record scratch, mute the music in the same go, and then drop the fact that I had managed to saw a poo in half when I worked at the cinemas and I could flush it, right? And it's like this big story, and I'm telling this dramatic build up, everything. And I miss his message. And 5 seconds later, I'm not even kidding, like 5 to 10 seconds later, he goes, wow, talk about not practicing what you preach. You didn't reply to me when I said, hey. And I finish my whole story, and he says it again. And I just go, I read his username out, and I go, if you think I need to stop my funny story to say hello to you, and I'm supposed to reply to you within 5 seconds, which, by the way, bud, most streamers have a 10 to 15 second delay, then I would hate to be in your stream. Like, I was so annoyed by it because everyone loved the story. Everyone thought it was amazing. And I was like, I am practicing what I preach. I'm saying make content for the collective, not constantly reply to every person. And it was such a weird experience because I thought in my head, I was like, I'm going to come back and I'm going to make good fucking content. And everyone's going to love my good content. Everyone's going to think it's amazing that these stories, these funny moments. And a lot of people did. But man, it fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
It blew me away.
Yeah.
That's actually a habit I'm trying to break at the moment, is where like, I'll be in the middle of doing something funny or telling a story, and then the habit that I built up where I look over and I see someone and I'm like, oh, by the way, hey, so-and-so. Anyway, and then go back into it. I'm like, I need to break that. I need to keep on the track that I'm talking about, because if those breaks, what that story you're telling, which could be, an 8-second TikTok, again, is just kind of, it's just, you've just voided it because you've broken it that mid sentence. And it doesn't, and I like to think most people are okay with waiting out for you to finish saying, waiting for a moment where you can then look to chat and be like, hey, so-and-so, how are you? Like, even though like their message has gone up like 10, 15 chat messages already, but it's still on screen, so you can still see it and say hello, or in your mind, you visually take note that person's come in. There's ways, there's like, as a streamer, we will try our best, and we're constantly multitasking. Yeah. But yeah, exactly what LJ said. It's like, we're trying to put on a show of some form. We are trying to make entertaining content. And by constantly breaking that up every 5 seconds, it ruins the flow. I think even viewers will feel that too, where they're like, they're engaging with the story that you're talking about, or the thing that's happening, but then they get pulled out of it because they're like, oh, right. Yeah. He's saying hello to people.
Comedy's all about timing, and that's what it really is.
Yes.
Yeah. It really is. If you've ever done any form of like acting or telling a story, if you're a streamer, it really does all come down to timing. And obviously, if you keep getting like, and here comes the punchline, just wait a second, XX Sniper 79, thank you so much for following, and here's the punchline. It ruins the flow, as we all know. It's a stupid thing, but it's not because we're being rude. It is because we're trying to do content-wise, and obviously think of the larger collective. As much as I would love to have a one-on-one with you in the chat, back and forth type thing, then we leave out X amount of people who are watching as well, which is really rude to everybody. It's a community feel. And back to the original question, I think a command would be good. I think telling your moderators that, our streamer is currently doing this, and they'll respond as soon as they can. We'll remind them when they look at the stream. That's what I tell my mods to do. And also there's times, there's also times as well where we talk about we want to do YouTube content. So I do a thing where it's like, just so you know, everyone, you're going to be on the screen. I'm not going to really be replying to messages and alerts and everything like that, but afterwards I totally will. And then I have like the introduction so they know we're going into an unusual part of the stream where I'm not as interactive per se. So that's would be my advice, is let your moderators know, maybe do a custom message. And again, just, at the end, you don't have to apologize per se, but just say, hopefully you understand why I maybe missed your message. Just a lot going on.
Yeah, it's I really do just take it as a thing that there are different reasons why everyone is in your chat. And you need to figure out which people and what reasons they're in your chat. Are they there because they enjoy your content and they like listening to your jokes, your stories, your gameplay, and the things you do? Or are they in your chat because they want all of their messages read out? Now, I know that there are some chats who like one and some chats who like the other, and that's fine. Everyone, sometimes if you're just chatting streamer, your value is in the conversation.
Yeah.
For me personally, I sat down and I weighed that up, and I came down to the point of I want people who are there for my content, my entertainment value, my stories, and not for my response to every individual message. Now, when you're very small, responding to every message is very easy without interrupting the content. When your chat is slow, it's still the same. But at a certain point, you do have to consider that. And I've asked my mods to essentially to reply to people and be like, hey, welcome in. People, hey, welcome in when people come in, right? And if someone starts getting a bit antsy-pantsy about me not reading out their messages or saying they're shadow banned, just being like, LJ's just telling stories and making content. He doesn't hate you. He's not doing anything like that. But it is tough. It is really, really tough, because if you're trying to make good content, to have someone just straight up calling you out in chat as if like you're an asshole, almost said the Australian C word. And it's like, nah, man, if you're not here for me and my content and you're only here for me to read out your message, then we're probably not going to have a good time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's probably another streamer out there for you. And that's not an insult. It's just you have a different reason for going into chats.
Yes.
Which is easy for me to say. I'm not struggling with viewers. But that's my take on it, at least. Maybe it's a bit of a frustrating one, but I think every streamer goes through it, right?
That's why it's good when your mods and even other community members are welcoming new people that they see come in.
Love it.
Because it's in those events where you don't get to be like, hey, so and so, welcome. They're at least catching that, so that person's still feeling welcomed in some form. But like Eldridge said, it's like they're purely wanting the streamer's attention, and sometimes you just can't help it.
Dorito emote.
Among us, sus. Yeah.
Zero dumpster.
Can I do a quick fire round? Because I promised this person we'd reply to them in their thing, but then we didn't do the questions. So Faison says that they were going to do their very first collab, but 2 hours before the stream, the person had to pull out because they weren't feeling well. They were super sorry, and this is totally fine, and he didn't mind. But obviously his plan changed, and his plan was kind of ruined in a way. And he had lots of stuff to plan to talk to them about, but it wouldn't really work with chat. And so he winged it. He played a new game, and it went pretty well, he thinks. But his question is, how would we handle that? Do we have backup plans ready to go beforehand, just in case something goes wrong? And then he says, awesome podcast, guys. Really like Reapz' hat this episode. I'm looking at him through the window while you're recording. It's black. He just poked himself in the head. Sorry, we'll just move on from that part.
But wait a minute, the blinds are down. What? There must be a camera sliding through.
He's got X-ray
Mission
vision.
Impossible style. We love Faison. Faison is a fantastic.
He's a good egg.
He's a good egg. He's a really and also talk about a very positive member of a community. Faison is one of those, and they really stick out. Hats off to the amazing members of the community. In terms of collaboration, I can only really speak of the big collabs that I've done, obviously with, Mario Party, LJ, things like that, with Professor, and obviously with PogChumps. Now, with PogChumps, it kind of varies on what you'd want to do, but you should always have a backup to an extent. Like, say if somebody pulls out, I need a replacement, so I'd probably get one of my moderators to pop in and do it. If not, I would delay. The big thing is, if you are doing a collab with one other person, then really I would say do exactly what you did, Faison, and that is continue on with the stream and just say, obviously we've had to reschedule to do this, and play a game that you enjoy, that you can kind of feel less stress about, because I know that it does affect you a lot when you're so excited, you're so amped, you plan everything out, and then it's just 2 hours before and you're like, no, what am I going to do now? The stress that comes down on you. But the big thing is know that it's not you. The big thing to know is that it is a situation, and things change all the time. As we know, streaming is all about improvisation. If something goes wrong technically, if the game starts stuttering in Elden Ring, what do you do? It's thinking on your feet. And usually, as we've talked about many times before, who wants to play marbles, guys? marbles. Let's play marbles. Marbles. Do it.
Everyone wants marbles.
I was about to say, like the backup, like you plan to play a game with someone. It's like, what do we do tonight? We kind of go to, I guess, if you have some like kind of old faithful stuff that you return to, like marbles, stream races is a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I think he's cutie patootie.
I think my delivery is here, guys.
Multiple packages.
You take over for 1 second.
Go for it. LJ, what would you do in a situation?
I've always got something up my sleeve. Like, I've got a Trello board full of ideas. The main thing that stops me doing ideas, or the main thing that freaks me out, is usually I get anxiety, like we talked about last week, that it's not going to work. And so I've usually got other things that I could do. I'm also very blessed that I can go live and I have such a fantastic community that I can go live and I could probably have just a 3-hour long just chatting stream for 90 to 100 viewers, right? But not everyone is blessed like that to have an awesome community. And so for me, I usually have a backup, right? Like I'll usually fall into like, I'm a play X game that I know people like, or a really good one that I love, BuzzFeed quizzes. One of the best streams of my entire year so far, I know we've only been going for 2 months, was I did a BuzzFeed quiz night where I just would see a BuzzFeed quiz and I'd click a BuzzFeed quiz. And it was a fantastic experience and I loved it so much. And everyone enjoyed it. So I think it is literally just about, if you come up with a bunch of different ideas, like I try and spend 30 minutes to an hour every morning brainstorming. And I kind of split the platforms up. Like one morning, I'll just brainstorm stream ideas. One morning, I'll just brainstorm video ideas. Another day, I'll brainstorm, you know, how I can grow my hair back. That one's I'm still struggling with, but we'll figure it out. But essentially, like when you have that and you have them all saved up in a Trello board, it is easy for you to turn around and go, all right, well, my plan has fallen through, or I don't feel fully comfortable doing X, Y, Z. So instead, I'm going to grab this one here that says, you know, I'm going to try and beat Getting Over It with Benihana, but I can only, every time someone makes me laugh, I have to reset. Or I'm going to try do Jump King, or I'm going to try do X Game. And if this happens, then I got to do Y. There's so many things. But yeah, I essentially say just have as many backup plans as possible and some that you can implement whenever you want. And the best ones are ones where you don't actually need any chat interaction and you can turn into a video, right? Like if you're worried that you're going to have a bad stream because your chat was excited for a collab and that's no longer happening, then your idea should be that you're going to make amazing content that doesn't require anyone. It could even be like you just think of it like it's going to be a recording session, right? Like I'm going to play Elden Ring where I have to do X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. And I don't care if there's no chatters there. I'm going to have fun. It's going to be sick. And then I'm going to turn the whole thing to TikToks and a video. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you got to remember, one of Point Crow's biggest videos and one of his very first videos, he did with 20 viewers. He beat the tutorial plateau of Breath of the Wild with a blindfold and with only being able to read chat and chat having to tell him. So he could listen to it and he had to read his chat, but he couldn't see anything he was doing. Genius. And he had 20 viewers at the time and he still made an amazing piece of content. So that's my big advice is think of your stream like a recording session, have a bunch of backup ideas, and just remember, even if you have a really bad stream, if you are creating that content for somewhere else, you can do it no matter how last minute it is, no matter what it is, as long as you have a good structure and a good plan. Yeah.
Quick tip, because I wish I did this way back in the day. There's so many times in my stream where I think of a really good idea or something I need to fix, you know, that's been told to me by the community on my mods, and I forget about it because, you know, you do another 2 hours after that. So I always have this notebook next to me with many ideas that I've written down that I have to write down then because I know I'm going to forget about it. As you can see, Nick has one as well, and I'm sure LJ, you know, you got everything.
I've got
like
4
that.
Notebooks on my desk right now. One's for YouTube, one's for TikToks, one's for general research, and I have a to-do list every single day that I write in.
That's exactly.
But the old trick that you can do as well, if you've got even a few community members, you say, "Oh, that's a good idea. Hey, chat, I'm gonna do now. Clip that and please go post in the Discord. Thank you, slaves. Thank you."
Yes, Discord is a big one for me as well. It's like write that in the Discord mods. Like I got like a mod suggestion thing because I'm not sure what your Discord's like. I've got a mod chat, which is just random stuff, and then I've got no Reapz. You really need to pay attention to this sub channel of that mod chat where it's like, please fix this, that, and the other because all that kind of things. But yeah, have a notebook next to you because when you have those days 2 hours before showtime and something wrong happens, you can go blah, 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 and go, I can do that. It's along the similar vein of a quiz show. I'm going to go on like Sporkle or something. I'm just going to do quizzes on that and I can make it into content. So yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I do a combo of like either writing, like in the middle of the stream, writing stuff down, or bless Izzy. Izzy's my mod and my editor. I'm so thankful. I'll be like, oh, Izzy, can you send that to me in a message for later? Can you write that down? Can you write this content down? Can you remind me to fix this later? Like,
and then they're like, oh God, I don't get paid for this.
Poor Izzy. I was just like, I had a really like the other day I was playing Pokemon and I had a really dumb idea for an edit for something that happened in the game. LJ, I'm not sure if you did this quest. I don't know if it rings a bell. This field quest where it's rolling down the hill. Don't know if it. Okay, never mind. No. That's fine.
I'm shaking my head.
Yeah,
you need visual cues for me on stream. By the way, if you're listening to this podcast, you miss a lot of visual cues. Just throwing it out there. Like 99% of my responses are just me pulling a face. Like earlier in the stream, you missed some good moments. Just VODs. All right, sorry, keep going, Nick.
Yeah. And yeah, so like, I was basically like, oh, I should do this like really funny edit. And everyone's like, yeah, that'd be hilarious. And then I was like, actually, I was like, Izzy, if you want to have a crack, if you're not doing anything, you know, feel free, you can give this a crack, get a bit creative. She's like, okay. And then like half an hour later, she's like, oh, check your DMs. And she's like edited this little video.
It's a rhino explosively shitting. You've been rhino baited.
Exactly it. That's
got it again.
That's it. Wearing a fancy hat. So yeah, it was. I will do that as well. But the main reason that I use this this notebook, and I'm curious if you guys have done any type of this form of sort of, I guess, note taking. Well, not note taking, but personal motivation, where basically I was doing it for a while and I kind of fell off of it a little bit. But this was like, I would treat this as like a little mini Bible every day, where at the start of the day I'd think about what are some achievable tasks that I can get done today, and they can be really small things, or you know, or small parts of a larger project. Like rather than just like, for you know, LJ, like make a stream scheme video, might be like spend an hour on script writing today, like stuff like that, like small achievable stuff. And I'd start off with like 4 of them. And then as I go through the day and do them, I'd cross them off. And I'd visually, and it kind of...
It's endorphin rush.
It is. It makes you feel good that you're like, oh, I've done one thing now. Now I want to do the rest. And then you're like, and when you get through all 4, you're like, I did all my tasks today. I'm feeling really good. And then you start the next day. And then you start to create this personal competition of how many days in a row can I go doing all the tasks that I set out for myself.
If you can do Wordle every day, you can do these tasks every day, you know?
Exactly.
What you're referencing here, the streak aspect of it is called the Seinfeld strategy, or the Seinfeld system. And that is that Jerry Seinfeld wrote a joke every single day. And the more he wrote, the better he got, obviously. But the longer his streak went on, he didn't want to break his streak. And so he refused to not write a joke. Like, it's like you can't. And it works the same with Duolingo. And there's an app called Streaks that I use as well to do this for certain things that keep me motivated. But also, by the way, on the to-do list side, you guys got to get one of these. Can I show you this? Yeah, there's nothing. This is, I haven't fully written this because I'm doing the podcast early in the morning yet. But this is a book. Come on, camera. This is a book. Come on. Boy.
Get there.
It's because Danny DeVito's face is in the background. Danny DeVito's
it's like, it's not a face. I don't want to focus.
There we go. I see it. Dishes, laundry, dry, trash. We see that.
Oh, that's I like that.
It's a good book. I won't show you the other page behind it because it's actually got other info on it. But like, you can get these for like $20. And I know this.
Do you have a link?
I got an affiliate link, baby.
Yeah, affiliate link. Shoot it over.
But essentially, yeah, it's a really, really fantastic book, and I really recommend it because it has that big to-do list. It's got the pickups, the gratefuls, the meals, the waters, fitness, all of it. But I will say as well, what else we've got is maybe a little outro, because for 2 hours and 20 minutes without following any of the actual structure we set out, we've talked pretty damn heavily, baby. And I think it's about time we wrap up.
Yes,
if that's all right with you boys.
No, indeed. This is our longest episode ever. Can I just say?
And we didn't follow the structure. This was winging.
At all.
Look at us. We're improving on the spot. We're learning. We're evolving, sentient, some may say. But any other words before we head off, boys? Obviously, the socials are on the screen now. Make sure it's there, Reapz, in the future edit. And again, this has been a week. This has been a great week. Thank you so much for listening. Again, if you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, it really helps us out. It really helps us grow. And hopefully you enjoy seeing it. And write us some comments, questions as well, because we love answering them, as you just heard then.
He said love parasocial.
We love parasocial stuff. I'm joking. And we're going to buy ourselves some farts this week. So that's really parasocial.
Let's go. And if you guys have ideas for topics as well, like you want some deep topics that you want us to deep dive, let us know as well.
Please.
Make our content for us.
Yes, please.
Not even laughing.
No,
I'm going to laugh at that just to make sure people feel good. But we are lagging out. We are logging off for this evening, and we'll see you next week for another episode of The Stream Room. Bye-bye now.
Bye, guys.